It's my duty to please the booty.
And Muzz got mad at me, the coach, and he goes, Jesus Christ, why don't you just wear 2 nines? And I went, okay.
Stretch the call.
Please never do that.
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 475 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka, here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. Wowza. Almost Christmas time, already 3 months into the season, but flying by. Lots of shit to talk about. But we got to check on the boys first, see what's going on for the holiday. Paul, Biznasty, Bissonette, what are you going on for Christmas?
I get the nod first. Well,
yeah,
last week was a pretty intense pod, and considering we're getting close to the holidays, let's be a little bit more joyful on this one. You know, I enjoy bending Whit over in that argument, but it's not about that. It's about being friends.
If you want to start this again right now, I swear, I'll bah humbug your ass all the way to fucking New Year's, bud. So I want to be friendly with you.
Okay, let's be friendly. Let's be very joyful. 'Tis the season, right?
Tis the season.
It was a great weekend. Actually, Sean Apuzzo, our videographer, the guy who edits our pods, our Swiss Army knife, he actually came into town because he's considering moving here. He's considering making the move to Scottsdale. Whit, I don't know if you were aware of that, but I think he could tell you it's the perfect place to live. It was 80 degrees on Saturday. Brought him to the Coyotes game. Went and checked out this new place called Global Ambassador. Have you ever heard of a guy named Sam Fox?
No.
Is it Michael J.
Sam
Fox's
Fox, he created all these restaurants. True Foods was one of them. North Italia is another one. So they're all across the West Coast. And I want to say that he dealed the sale of all of it for like $300 million or something silly. And he's just like a restaurant connoisseur, really puts a nice vibe in there. The food is always good, no matter what restaurant it is that he created, or concept, I should say. And then he's moved on to where, do you remember where we stayed in Newport? The Pendry?
Yeah.
How could I forget that place?
Buddy, unbelievable. So a very similar concept here, where it's really something that the area needed. Like normally, there's a lot of bachelor parties that come here. So you got to go to the Vortex. You got to go to all these crazy bars where you can't hear yourself think. Well, this place is great. It's got 3 restaurants. It's got the hotel there. They got like a little cafe in the bottom. And then of course this like wonderful lounge. And I mean, as far as the eye candy is concerned, I mean, Apuzzo can hop on and tell you himself, man. It was pretty nice scenery. So
how much are they paying you?
They're not paying me anything, G, you fucking asshole. Actually,
wow, G coming out hot.
Yeah, okay. You want? I was trying to be joyful.
So much
I was trying to be joyful. No, actually, I think Pasha and Joey ended up going over there. We went there for like the soft launch or whatever. I think they're selling memberships for like $75K for when it gets packed. Like you have access to a gym and stuff. Yes, is the tag very, very expensive, but Devin Booker's an investor. So they're trying to create like a private scene, as far as like there's a private bar, private gym. You get first dibs as far as the restaurants are concerned. If you call in, like it doesn't matter if it's packed, you get first dibs on going in. So overall, a pretty cool setting. So we checked that out. And then, as I said, we had a fun time at the Coyotes game. They had back-to-back shutouts. They played San Jose on Friday. Didn't go to that one. I think they won 1-0. That's kind of a bit of a snooze fest. But I got to see the Buffalo Sabres. Boys, not looking good.
Them in Ottawa, it was the year of one of those two at least. And they both stink.
They both stink.
But the Yotes at home, man.
Buddy, I think they're 11-5 at this point. And they play their dicks off, man. And back-to-back shutouts. It was Ingram night 1, and then Vemelka. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Vemelka?
I'm
drawing a blank here. But overall, a great time. Tons of people from Buffalo here celebrating bachelor parties. So met a ton of unbelievable people on the concourse, took some pictures. And overall, boys, a great weekend. Got some workouts in. So nothing too crazy. But I always get messages, DMs, texts, what areas or what bars we should check out when we're in town. Definitely check out this Global Ambassador, and you're not getting a promo code. And no, G, I didn't even get a discount on my meal, for fuck's sakes. Maybe I will the next time I go there if Sam Fox is buzzing around. But as of right now, no gratuity.
Next up, the Wit Dog, Ryan Whitney. What's new with you, brother, since we last spoke?
Not much. Had a great weekend. You know, right around the holiday time, you get to see so many of your friends. And so Thursday we actually we took Ryder out of school a little early, and then we headed up to North Conway, New Hampshire, which is a great little skiing area. It's actually a cool little town. It's great in the summer and the winter. I think Attitash Mountains up there, Cranmore, and currently there's no skiing. We were headed up to do the authentic, official Polar Express. Now, if you guys know the book and the movie, The Polar Express, The Magic of Christmas, the ringing of the bell, do you hear the bell ringing? Do you hear the bell ringing? Once you don't hear it ringing, you're old and you don't believe in Santa. So it was a great experience. I mean, we had done one in Rhode Island last year that was complete trash. And the people were awesome that were working there. It was just like the ride wasn't anything special. It was quick. You didn't get out. This one, you know, you get on the train. They got all the Christmas music playing and the decorations. Now, mind you, like going up, that morning we left, because we got the elf on the shelf, and every parent out there knows about the elf on the shelf. And if you don't know about the elf on the shelf, the elf comes out in December, and all of a sudden, every night, he's moving around, and he's watching, and he's seeing, and he's telling Santa what you're doing. We named ours Keithy a few years ago in honor of Keith Yandel. You know, what's the worst name in the English language? Keith. So Keithy's our guy. I actually said, Ryder, what do you want to name him when he was like 3? Keithy, okay. Now, everyone takes him out December 1st. I took him out, I said, 2 weeks before Christmas. Because every night, it's kind of a panic attack. Like one night I forgot, and I wake up at 2 in the morning. Oh, my God. So the morning that we woke up and Ryder went and did a half day before we were leaving, he had not behaved the day before. And why it was even worse. Why it's an absolute... He you know, we're in one with that kid.
Damien.
So Keithy didn't move. He didn't move. And there was a note. You behaved like shit. I didn't go tell Santa. No, I didn't swear. I'm just, you know, paraphrasing. You behaved like shit. I did not go see Santa, and you better straighten up and fly right today, or I ain't never going back there again. Well, I said, Ryder, look, you got to read this. I read it to him, and he said to me, well, how does he know he's fake? I said, oh, what the hell? He goes, look at his eyes. They're all plastic. I was like, I didn't know what to say on that one. But either way, he was very well behaved that morning. And so we drove up and we went through the Polar Express, and it was up, and then you're taking the train up the mountain, and then you get out, and then you walk up this big hill to Santa's workshop, and all the elves are making toys, and then Santa came out and he walked around the crowd. Now at this point, like everything was delayed, and I was so hungry, and all these restaurants were closing at 9, and I'm starting to do the math as Santa's walking like 1 mile an hour through the crowd, stopping and talking to everyone. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to get food. So I was kind of getting grumpy, and then I got the look from the wife like, we're not here for you. We'll figure something out. And there was a 99, and everyone knows the 99's great. You get the chip, you get the crackers,
What's the 99?
And the cheese, you get the popcorn. Oh, it's like it's. I don't know how to describe it. All right,
like a local restaurant pub, pretty popular in the New England area.
A good spot though, Biz. Good spot.
Has nothing to do with Wayne Gretzky.
No. And people
Wow.
call it the 9s. And they got these gold fever wings.
Oh my God.
Biz. So whatever. Once I figured out I'll at least have the 99, I was back to being cheery old Christmas time Whitty. And so we finished that night, and it was a great time. Now the next day we were supposed to go and skate. They have this big outdoor skating facility, and luckily I called because it was about 20 minutes more north, and the ice not frozen yet. No snow up there, no ice. It's just
Hasn't been anywhere.
I'm not a big global warming guy. Like I'm not, but like there's something about that. I was skating my entire life as a young kid, you know, say 8 to like 11 around Thanksgiving time.
Alex Jones.
Thanksgiving time, if not Christmas time. Nothing freezes anymore. It never snows here. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe something's going on. Maybe
I got to
not.
get RA's take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Right, do
think
you believe in global warming?
Yeah, I mean, it's basic science, really, when you think about it. I mean, I don't
Thank
think
you,
it's
R.A.
conspiracy.
Well, I don't even know why I'm saying thank you, because I don't know what.
I just wanted to get your guys' takes.
It's just warmer here in general, so that's kind of what I'm going with. But then, you know, the pool had this indoor pool with 2 slides. The kids bombed down that. It was just a great time. And then Friday night, just hung out. And then Saturday night, we got together with all our friends once a year, right around like this time. All my close friends from home, all the couples get together. It's a great night. Now, we were missing a few people. Fairway Falls' cousin actually plays basketball for Kansas. He played at Townsend for 4 years. Then Kansas brought him, and he got an NIL deal. Foles did the deal. He thinks he's Bob Sugar super agent, but so he went. His cousin stuck him in the last row of the place in Indiana,
nice.
like legit the worst seat I've ever seen at a basketball game. So we were missing him and his wife, a couple others, and we were having a great time. It was in the Seaport, and we had like one waitress that was doing an unbelievable job. You know, she's coming around, getting drink orders and stuff like that. We probably had 25, 30 people. Yeah, whatever. And at 10 o'clock, one of my friend's wives said to her, hey, could I just do a glass of cab? There wasn't one like drunk person. Like everyone was like a little buzzed, but absolutely no like RAs on the Chiclets cup type drunks, you know? Like everyone's just having a great time. And she
Just
said,
falling asleep in their soup.
it's stealing one of the wives' food.
That Mohawk we don't fuck around, biz.
But so she said, "Could I get a glass of cab, please?" And the woman, I didn't find this out till the next morning. And the woman said, "No, sorry, you guys are done. You guys are cut off." And
What?
The girl's like, "What?" Like, she's like, "What do you mean? Like, we're all just sitting around. Like, we had like a buffet out and like some high tops, like nothing, not loud, anything." And she's like, "Oh, well, there's a table." And she didn't point to the table, I guess, but she's like, there's a table nearby to your guys' section, and they're very offended by a conversation they heard happening.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I'm like, so when I heard this story, I was like, I'm so glad that like I wasn't the one being told this by the
What'd
waitress.
you do? Tell the
and, like,
flight attendant story or what?
I don't know what story was told because there was probably like 5 different factions of people hanging out, you know, and like, but my buddy's wife, like, she's like, what are you talking about? Like, so the manager comes over. She's like, no, they're fine. We were spending a good amount of money. And I ended up thinking after, like, you can't get cut off if somebody's offended by what you're talking about.
That's fucking insane, dude.
Like,
that's
who are
like
you?
sums up where the world's at right now. I mean, global warming is one issue, but like censorship and
Entitlement.
And my thing is like, if you're that upset by whatever was being talked about, wouldn't you go over to the person? No, instead you like go to the waitress and say like, those people are talking about something that hurt my feelings. Like it was just, and then the fact that the waitress actually was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys are done drinking. It was like just an absolutely wild scenario,
Holy.
but we ended up getting the drinks back. But I was just kind of amazed at the how appalling
I would have
it
been
is.
so intrigued that I would have went to the table to ask them. Or as you're saying, they didn't point them out. I would have went to every table to be like, hey, were you upset about a conversation that was going on over here?
I think my buddy's wife, Dee, she did a great job of not telling any of the guys because I think she knew like somebody, one of us would have been like, hey.
I would have flipped the table.
So, yeah, it ended up being a great night. And then just to wrap everything up, I know I'm going a little long, but it was a great
good.
weekend.
I like that.
So Sunday, my brother Sean's home from San Francisco with his wife and his son Liam, who's a year and a half. I hadn't seen him since May. This kid's a tank. My brother's 6'5", his wife's 6 feet. Her uncles are 6'7" and 6'8". Like this kid might end up being a complete monster. He's enormous. So we did the Whitney family Christmas because they're only around for a couple days before they go to her house in Pittsburgh. And so my brother's wife we did a Secret Santa, kind of a good move this year. And for anyone listening with big families, like as opposed to trying to get everyone a gift, like everyone gets one and then you don't know who it is. And then you get your one person to give a gift. And so we did that. She gave me this. I had to look up because I forget. She gave me one of the best gifts of all time. It's called Box Ballin'. Now, I guess it's a free ad. I don't know if you guys have seen this thing.
No.
It is.
G's ears just perked up when he heard box.
Yeah. Not that type of
we'll
box.
get to that.
Yeah. So this thing, you strap it around your head, and then there's like a I guess that this is kind of sounding like G's box has it right now, but there's a string, like a stretchy string that goes down from the forehead, and attached is a kind of the size of a tennis ball. It's a soft ball and light, but it's squishy. And if you YouTube this thing, you just punch it and you get in a rhythm of like.
I saw Brady doing this one time. I saw Brady doing a video of this.
Brady did it. And she gave this gift out. She gave me 3 of them. I must have spent the next hour and a half sitting there, and you try to get in a rhythm, and you see the guy on YouTube doing it, but a phenomenal gift. And it was funny because she said, I didn't know what to get Ryan. 40 years old, all he wants to do is golf. Like, he kind of has anything he needs. And my brother goes, so you got him a cat toy? Because it's pretty much like a human cat. You're just like whacking it back and forth. But it was an awesome day, seeing my nephews, seeing the family. We were down there for about 7 hours, got home, had a very grateful feeling last night of just, and Biz and I, we had a good discussion. We kind of mended the fences. You know, Biz and I, the podcast almost ended last week, guys. I hate to break it to you. It was close to being over, but little did we know that the Christmas spirit would bring me back to life and maybe understand that I did lose the argument and that I did get owned, and I'm here to admit it because I'm the bigger, better man, and I love all you listeners for listening to my weekend recap.
Good stuff. Nice. Good stuff, Whit.
Hey, so what age do kids stop believing in Santa? So obviously,
I believe it's getting way younger, and that's one of the things about I didn't want to go
global warming, we got censorship, and we got fucking kids learning about Santa too early.
Well, these kids get on YouTube and they're listening to Grinelli talk about his nights out in New York City, and then like all of a sudden they realize that not only is Santa not real, but the guy who's dressed up as Santa is probably sticking a dildo up like some random woman's asshole, like when he's off of his shift at the mall.
Yeah,
so
he's getting the Black and Decker.
So that was the thing that I wasn't like dying to go up driving the 2.5 hours to North Conway, and Bree said, she's like, we only have like so many years of like Ryder even and the kids believing in Santa, and it got to me. It pulled at the heartstrings. So Biz, I think it's getting younger. Like I imagine there's got to be some 4th and 5th graders who know, right? I'd hope 3rd grade you still believe, but
we probably should have had a spoiler alert. Considering some of the kids we do see when we do meet and greets, they're like, I hope these kids aren't listening
to this show. They believe me, they are at a point where they already know.
If your kid's still questioning or still believes that Santa's real, and you're allowing them to listen to the show, you should have your kids taken away.
Oh yeah, child services right to the address of where this kid's living.
That's a red flag, right? I actually met a guy at the Coyotes game. He's like, "Oh, I let my kid listen to the pod." I looked at him, I'm like, he shouldn't be fucking listening to the pod.
I had that at a meet and greet once. The kid was about 3'2", and I'm like, buddy, like, I got to be honest with you. Like, you need to have him stop listening. Like, we can take one less download and not ruin this kid's life. So,
Before we continue, it's Pink Whitney time. With the pink man himself, pink-skinned Ryan Whitney. If I'm in the sun, I'm pink. That's what happens. Maybe even a little red like a lobster, but we're talking pink. We're talking Pink Whitney. The exceptionally smooth, great-tasting vodka with notes of refreshing lemon that you can make so many drinks out of. You can do them as a shot. You can mix them with your favorite soda. You can just drink it on ice. That's how I like it. Drink it a little on ice, let the ice melt a little bit, and boom, Pink Whitney coming right at you. Perfect time to give away some Pink Whitney to your loved ones and your friends. It's Christmas time, and I've actually started handing out a couple bottles to people as a thank you and as a little Christmas gift. And everyone who has already had it is ecstatic to have it again. And everyone who hasn't had it, they're very kind of intrigued by the bottle, and they're looking forward to trying it. So thank you to everyone listening who does buy Pink Whitney, who does drink Pink Whitney, who's bought some of the merch. Could never thank you enough. Could never thank New Amsterdam enough, because they're the reason Pink Whitney exists. Pink Whitney. And now also, they have the 1.75 liter bottle. More of the Pink Whitney we know and love. Great for parties and sharing with friends. Take your shot with Pink Whitney.
Oh, man. Next up, our producer, Mikey Grinelli, validated by Taylor Swift, allegedly. Huh, pal?
Yeah, I'd say vindication is the perfect word. For those who don't know, after we recorded the pod last week, I got a lot of shit for the box stories, just going to the box, just talking about it. And what do you know? The biggest celebrity in the world, Taylor Swift, the next night has her birthday party with all the celebrities in New York City at where else but the box. So vindication was felt.
They did the same thing though, honestly.
I think they got crazier. They definitely got
probably
crazier.
rented it out and closed it off privately.
That's what I think, Biz.
I also don't know if you did the best job of like dressing up the fact that it's basically a nightclub and then they turn it into that. I think that people just think that you went to a place where people are shoving Black and Decker drill bits up each other's assholes, and it's just a freak show. But it's a nightclub where and it's trendy, and there's a lot of attractive girls that are in there. Like it's a scene.
But I do think Taylor Swift rented it out and it was just like the club. Like I just
There's not what would be the point? Why wouldn't she just go to another place that rent it out? You think the drinks are mixed better there? The drinks are mixed with hogs that look like mine.
imagine
like
what Kelsey and her are doing if she was into the box. Gee, you had vitriol coming at you over going there. That was
I know.
people
Biz
were
even hit me up
hatred.
and he's like, "Are you okay? Can you handle this?" I'm like, "I'm good, man. I
texted
feel
him.
great."
Yeah, I'm like, hey man, are you doing okay? There's a lot of backlash online right now about the way that you started the last. I had to check in with G.
Yeah, no, I felt great. And I agree, though. I definitely think she rented it out, though, because if a video ever came out of like Taylor Swift taking a beer out of a woman's vagina like we were doing, like, I don't know if she could come back from that one. But
if anyone could come back from anything, though, it's her.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, for
that's
sure.
true. But my week ended up having a kind of a crazier turn. I ended up going to a wedding this weekend in Wilmington, Delaware, a place I never thought I'd be in the entire earth, but ended up in Wilmington, Delaware at a wedding where I didn't know a single person. It was my girlfriend's best friend from college. She was a bridesmaid, so I was there. Great time. Shout out to the Bakers, Brandon and Allison. Awesome time. But at the end of the night, someone from the groom's side came over and they thought I was a wedding crasher. So I almost got my ass kicked. I'm just sitting there. I'm a little high. I'm just eating desserts. I'm going through the cupcakes, just going through all the whole dessert line by myself. Everyone else is dancing. And some guy comes over and he's like, let me see your card. I'm like, what? And he's like, let me see your name card. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, name card right the fuck now. And I'm like, whoa, buddy. I'm like, relax,
spicy.
man. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, and this guy would have beat the fuck out of me, like absolutely kicked the shit out of me. And he's like, name card right the fuck now or I'm tossing you out of here. And I'm like, whoa, buddy. Like, what is going on? What did I do? Like, what are you talking about? Like, my girlfriend's in the wedding. She's sitting right over there. And luckily, some kid that came up to me, was so drunk, he had a black eye. He was a hockey guy. Comes up to me, and he's like, I want to be Biz Nasty's assistant. Let me be Biz Nasty's assistant.
No, you don't.
No, yeah. Talk to Jeff about that one.
So I gave him my email earlier in the night, and he's like, buddy, like, why are you talking to Mike? Like, Mike's girlfriend is like the maid of, basically like the maid of honor. Like, what are you talking? Like, she's in the wedding. What are you talking about? And the guy just looks at me. He's like, sit down, buddy. And I'm like, what? Like, what did I do to this? I was like, I'm gonna get my cupcake.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was
what
crazy.
a weekend for the boys here.
Jeez.
Yeah,
What the hell did you get
settle
into?
down.
I know, it was insane. I thought I was getting my ass kicked.
Did he ever apologize to you?
Never apologized. And then the next day, I was pretty upset after. I went back, sat down, and then like one of the guys that was with was that I knew there. I didn't know one or two guys there. And they were like, let's go find him. Like, let's go find this guy. So then I got pissed off and I'm like, the alcohol kicks in. I'm like, yeah, let's go find this guy. Fuck him. And then the next morning too, I'm like at the brunch, I'm like looking around to try to find the guy just to go up to him and be like,
He was, in fact, the wedding crasher?
Yeah,
he might have been the wedding crasher because the second after it happened, I didn't see him the rest of the night, didn't see him the next day. He was gonzo with the wind.
Jesus, gee. Adventures, a lot of adventures for you lately. Yeah, Biz, my weekend, Friday, per usual, I went down the nights. My buddy Rizzo bartends, went down and watched the Bruins game, met my pal Kevin McGonigal, no relation, one of my oldest best friends. A couple pops, nothing crazy. Then Saturday, met a lot of my old school friends. Last year, we had a surprise 50th for a friend, and one of another friends, hey, we should all get together this weekend down the Warren Tavern. Very spontaneous, and it was a great time. I mean, obviously, I'm fucking middle-aged at this point. You don't see a lot of your friends. Sometimes it's basically funerals or weddings. Yeah, you get older, and so this is like a positive thing to go to. Not at a funeral home to see a bunch of friends. It was like 40 or 50 of us. We basically took over the Warren Tavern, and I got a little disco fever going. I started busting out a few moves. Once certain disco tunes hit me, I just can't help myself. Got to go out and cut a rug. So,
I've seen
yeah. Yeah,
like
great,
John Travolta in Pulp Fiction type moves?
Or John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever, probably a little bit more like it.
Shit, all right.
What a
Suck on that
dancing
way.
is. Yeah. But I know, great time, Biz. Like, just to be with friends. This is the time of year you catch up with people. So I had a real nice weekend. It was good stuff. So,
Boys, I'm trying to keep my temperament down right now. You wouldn't believe this, but the guy next door is drilling again.
No.
Is it using the Black & Decker Pecker-Wrecker?
It sounds like a very loud generator, and I can't even hear myself thinking I'm about to blow a fucking gasket. This guy's been doing construction as long as the guy working on my house, for fuck's sakes. Might be the same guy, in fact.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Keep the temp down. Boys, sorry to say, the streak is over. I mean, if you're going to lose a sandbagger, I guess you could lose it to JR and our team, who's probably not the
What
worst
a
thing.
sandbagger, though. Incredible feedback. It's actually going back to the weekend. I was at the grocery store and I had a guy come up. Hey, man, love the sandbaggers, but I got to be honest, man, you got to start drinking again because your putting is shit when you're off the sauce. And I said, bud, I'm off the sauce for good, but I feel you. I couldn't hit the broadside of a fucking barn in that sandbagger. I might have gotten a little too West Coast high too. That weed out there hits you a little bit different.
Well, it made JR like money.
I know.
I mean,
He's
that was
consumer.
that was the perfect example of just vets just like physically and mentally dominating. I mean, from the minute we got there, and then like the way JR, once I got to watch it back and he's like, I want to embarrass them, like, buddy,
They were playing with their
well
food.
done.
They were playing with their food. Ronak was just barking the entire time. Timu Solani, the coolest guy on the planet. But each of them take on a personality of their own, but it was just great to hang out with them and hear all these old school stories. Like getting to play around with these guys was a blessing. And I'd never hung out with Timu before. Him telling that Bruce Boudreau story
God.
about him pranking him as being Wayne Gretzky, and then the retelling. I've heard the story about you like getting traded to Edmonton and saying, I can't believe how do guys play here? This place is a dump. And then getting traded there a few weeks later. Him retelling that and just his laugh was fucking 10 out of 10. Absolute 10 out of 10.
They were so good. Yeah, we want to thank them once again. And the feedback's been incredible. I mean, I saw a lot of people saying it was their favorite sandbagger ever. I think part of that is probably those guys being such legends, so funny on the camera, such good golfers. And then the other part of it is people just wanting to see us get our ass kicked. So it was just like the perfect storm for viewers to really enjoy a sandbagger with their stories. I mean, I swear to God, if I was balling whole, like I probably would have shot like 94 that day. That was my swing right now is a little mess. I'm like ripping it inside. The club head's inside my hands, and then I'm like across the line, and I'm super steep. So I got to get to work. I'm actually hopping on a plane tomorrow morning. I'm going to play golf in Orlando for a couple days. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Just a little golf break right before Christmas. So I'm very excited to try to work on my swing, and then we'll be back in Orlando for Pink Whitney night. But that sandbagger was just so good. And the other funny thing was that at the end, like I was just talking to JR, he's like, yeah, we knew like we were smashing you guys. Like before they saw us even like get to the club. It's like we and then like the fact that they're giving us more shots and then still drumming, and I'm getting like 9 shots at one point. It was one of those really humbling moments. And it was kind of similar to what we did to Caulfield and Zegras as the older vets and just kind of wore them down mentally and physically. And then we just got our lunch fed to us. So thank you so much to those guys. And thank you to everyone who watched, because it was great to see the numbers spike up and all the comments say they really enjoyed it. And I think the next one you're going to be just as thrilled, because Sean Avery and Kevin Conley, 2 very, very funny dudes, and Avery's out of his mind. That one, I can't wait to see the first cut, because and shout out Pasha, who is doing such a good job, like a true like director. Like he's unbelievable at editing these things, and he's only getting better and better with his production and all the guys who are helping. So we really appreciate all the support from fans and our crew, and it was a blast, even though we got thumped.
Yeah, golf with JR, man. He got more rules than friggin' Monopoly, huh? It seemed like every hole he was coming up with some new rule.
He knew it was making us look even dumber and dumber. So he was he played us.
He's
like
an entertainer
a
too. He knew he would have finished you guys off in 13 if he didn't make all those rules.
Yeah.
It's almost like you guys had a certain element you were missing that wasn't there, and maybe threw your game off.
Hey, that's true. I don't know though, because like the more that a JR was drinking, the better he got. Whit, I think that you're a pretty good drunk golfer too, but he just brought it to the next level. He was craving the Pink Whitney.
I was on you hard, and like I actually felt bad after, because like you're off the sauce, and honestly, for a lot of people out there who like want to stop drinking, like, and I'm sitting there like all over you, like if you don't want to drink, don't drink. Like the Biz being strong with the peer pressure was good. My thing was all right, well, we've won 10 in a row drinking. You can't stop now. But it was more about I didn't want to be drinking alone. But honestly, like, proud of you. You don't want to drink. Like, that's a good thing. I love Pink Whitney, and a lot of other people do too. And I know when you drink, you do as well. But in the end, my thing was, it wasn't that I thought it would make your personality better. I'm never worried about your entertainment and your personality. It truly is like when you're playing golf and playing bad, like, drinks can really help. They just like loosen up your feels. You stop thinking.
Do they give you a backswing?
Please drink. But then you were holding strong, and then I was rattled.
Do they give you a backswing? The cocktails, do they give you a bit more of a backswing?
Your backswing's gotten
it's horrendous.
Ridiculously short.
Yeah. That's the one thing too, is if I'm not golfing a lot, I have to shorten it up in order to make good contact. So it's pathetic. Like that was probably the worst my swings looked. So people who constantly criticize me about being a sandbagger, it's like, when I'm not golfing, that's what it is. I'm an 18 easily.
I heard the booze really helps out your cadence too on the course, Biz. I don't know if that's a rumor or not.
That's
like,
something that you need to work on. All right.
I meant to ask you, like, what is cadence in golf? I never like associated that word with
your cadence is like just it's basically like a pendulum, right?
It's your tempo more.
It's all about tempo. Golf, like you don't want to rush your backswing and then or rush your forward swing. You just want it to be nice and smooth. Who would probably be the best example? Freddie Couples, Tempo Town.
Freddie Couples is an all-time tempo guy. Max Homa is, like,
but he's also getting rub and tugs every day. Maybe I need to get rub and tugs.
Who's getting rub and tugs every day?
I think Freddie Couples is known as being a massive rub and tug guy.
I don't think that's ever been out in the news already.
It has now.
Jesus Christ.
The rumor boys.
Freddie just with an absolute Bobcraft ricochet shot to the temple.
What were you going to say, Whit?
But all right, basically in golf, you want to gather, and then smoothly come down, and then the fastest you're moving is at impact. So people move quick at the beginning and they move quick from the top, but it's all like slow. Like the saying that I like to say with golf is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Like it's just and Biz and I were so quick from the top, from the beginning, the swing. So it was just a recipe for disaster. And you know what? Sometimes, as I said on the Sandbagger, when you're on a streak and you lose that first game, you get trounced. You don't lose a close one, you get trounced.
And get trounced to the clubhouse after. Let's see, Dean Grinelli, Chiclets University. We got a new one dropping tomorrow. BC, I see you got your gear on right now.
Yes, Wednesday, 6 p.m., Chiclets University on the Chiclets YouTube channel. Will Smith, San Jose Sharks, fourth overall pick, gave us a tour of BC. A little bit different than the UMass video. We focused a lot on, the tradition of EC. We even get up in the crowd at one point. We're doing some fun stuff with the crowd, buzzing around the arena. So 6 p.m. would mean a lot to me if you watch it, so please watch it. Shout out Jersey Mike's and Blade Tech.
Whit, you're going to boycott this one? See it as it's BC?
Yeah, I love G, and I love what he's doing, and he's getting better and better at everything he's done with this show. But I cannot tell you how much I despise Boston College. I have 4 very, very good friends that went there, and like everyone else I've ever met from there sucks, and their team is really good this year, but they disgust me, and we have them first round Beanpot. We actually have them in a home and home in January before the Beanpot, so I won't be watching. I hate the school. I hate most of the people involved with the school, but I'm very happy for G.
How awesome is it, though, that BCBU number 1 and 2 in the country right now? That's so cool.
Well, BC, I think, has 7 kids on the U.S. World Junior team.
They do.
BU has 1 on U.S., and then we have Max Celebrini representing Canada. So it's gonna be a hell of a series when those two meet. And even though I won't be watching, I know that from what I've heard from everyone is that this Will Smith episode, who's also a great kid, and Ryan Leonard is. So there's more than 4. I was being a little harsh, but this is going to be a good episode. So if you don't hate BC as much as me, check it out, please.
We're still early on. Who's the favorite for World Juniors this year?
I think US is the favorite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're loaded, Biz.
That just speaks to the conversation we had a few pods ago about the fact that US is they're making strides, man. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was done.
I was done
for interrupting, and I just interrupted.
I was done. I got this drill bit in my fucking ear right now. No worries.
There are a good amount of kids that could be playing for Canada that are in the Olympic and in the NHL, and actually one of them is going to be going. That's Matt Poitras, and he got released by the Bruins to go play for Canada. They left the spot open. I think it's a great move. I know you might have had this later in the outline, but I figure bringing this up, it's probably a good time. He's slowed down a little bit. He's going to be a hell of an NHLer. He's gotten scratched. He's gotten benched a couple times. I couldn't agree more with that. Go play against kids your age. dominate, feel the puck more, play 20 minutes, have a big impact on that Canadian team, maybe go back. I don't know if he'd have to go back to junior or the AHL after. I don't know what happened, maybe even the Bruins. But I don't disagree with that move, because it's one thing to be playing in the NHL and learning the pro game, but it's another to be that young and not having the puck as much as you want, not dominating like you're mentally you want to be. So I like that move, and I agree with the Bruins doing that. Because Geeky's playing well enough where you can, Geeky's playing up higher than they thought he would be when they brought him in, and he's played good. So I don't blame the Bruins at all for that decision, and it helps Canada a ton.
Speaking of college hockey, we have one of the biggest champions of college hockey come on a little bit later. ESPN's John Buccigross got some great chatter, and also a huge music star coming up as well, Michael Bublé. We'll get to that stuff a little bit later. But Friday went. It wasn't a round number anniversary, but I found the tweets that the genesis of this podcast. I called it Chiclets Conception Day, the 8th anniversary of your infamous tweet. And dude, I cannot believe the feedback we got on that tweet or Instagram. People were fucking so nice about it. Just I wasn't fishing for compliments and nothing, but the feedback on just that tweet, it was dynamite. I'm sure you guys saw it, but just want to use that to say thanks to everybody once again. The support has always been overwhelming, but that day it was just really nice the way people kind of responded to that. I'm sure you guys caught that.
Yes.
Yes.
And
you guys had one microphone when I showed up. You guys were 6 inches from each other's faces recording on one microphone. So it still blows my mind every time we're at live shows and events. And it's been an amazing ride, and it's all because of the fans. Yeah, and because KFC's brother, Brendan Clancy, gave me the wrong hyperlink, dude. I mean, to the product, dude. That's crazy, because if he sent me the right one, then the system wouldn't break. We probably wouldn't have called the G. Just crazy little things like that, because he made a mistake and ended up opening the door for G. So once again, thanks to everybody. We will be in Toronto for the All-Star game. We mentioned that. It's also a return to the theater for the Chiclets boys, because we're putting on our 3rd live show. Can't wait. Thursday, February 1st at 9 p.m. at the Winter Garden Theater. We're going to have some special guests. It's going to be a bonkers night. Tickets go on sale this Thursday, December 21st at 12 p.m., right after game notes. Can't wait. This is our 3rd show, Pittsburgh, Boston, Toronto. I know I missed the Pittsburgh one, sciatica. Suck missing that. Also, Seattle for the Winter Classic. Me, Biz, and G are going to be up there. We're going to be at the Press Box in Seattle from 8:30 p.m. till 10 p.m., Saturday, December 30th. So stop on by, bring some...
Quickly
some
about that.
Northwest Dank, if you have it.
Quickly about that. I can't believe how many messages I've got, and I know I have some haters out there. I have plenty of them, and I don't mind it. But I've gotten a ridiculous amount of messages like, you think you're too good to go. You can't go join the boys, prima donna. Like,
what?
Fuck you.
Holy shit.
I was told by Biz, and Biz is a big time true leader of this pod. We're going to Toronto for about 6 nights. We're going to have an unbelievable week of content, live show. We're going to be away. I'm going to be away from the kids for a long time. Then we're actually going somewhere else that we haven't announced yet about 3 days after that. So Biz said, I'm not going to have you fly out cross country for 3 days for just pretty much a meet and greet. I said, I'm glad to go, Biz. He said, no, just get rested up. You'll be ready for Toronto, where you're going to be away from the family a lot. Then you'll be away from them again for another 4 to 5 days, a couple days after that. So this is not me saying I won't go. So anyone who's out there thinking like I'm refusing to do stuff with my squad, these 3 guys right here, go fuck yourself.
If I had 2 kids and one on the way, I wouldn't be doing nothing other than trying to be a dad. So the fact that we even get you for this podcast is
like
it's an
all
honor.
These people think that I'm the one. Like, I'm not going. Like,
I mean, you are.
I'm not rattled.
There is a reason we call you Whitney Houston, but I mean, it's not this one.
I want to dance.
You've clarified a few times to us, Whit,
not
too.
to go.
You've clarified a few times to us, Whit, too. I want to come. I will come. And we were like, no, stay back. Stay with the family.
I'm not rattled, though.
When is number 3 scheduled to arrive with baby number 3?
I think as of right now, the last I was told is a Cinco de Drinko, May 5th date. And usually that's just a rough ballpark, but it'll be another home birth, God willing, which was very exciting the first time with Wyatt. And it's pretty funny because that'll be right in the midst of our every night. We're up till 2 a.m. We're recording after the games and playoffs, so it'll be a little bit of a gong show, but I can't wait. I love more than anything being a dad, and we were thinking about having a third, and we went for it, and I'm so pumped now.
Boys, before we get going into the hockey, do you mind if I go next door and maybe ask if they can stop this drilling?
Not at all, buddy.
I'm gonna try to keep my temperature down.
Put your GoPro on so we can fucking film it. All right, before I go any further, here's a few words from our good friends over at Body Armor. Spittin Chiclets is brought to you by Body Armor's newest product, Flash IV. Oh, this stuff is fantastic. It's time to reach for it. The real rehydration with Body Armor Flash IV. It's packed with electrolytes, zinc for added immune boost, no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Flash IV provides the rehydration your body needs, whether you're feeling under the weather, had an intense workout, or you just had a long weekend and a case of the Sunday scaries heading into a new week. So head on over to the Body Armor store on Amazon and get yours today. Body Armor Flash IV is available at the Body Armor store on Amazon. Once again, get yours today. Also, one last note here. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube. I think we're over like 300,000 subscribers right now. Biz, you know what the total's at, buddy?
313, buddy. Pay attention. Keep up.
Absolutely. And our social
That's
media
where you
as
can
well.
find the Sandbagger. That's where you can watch the podcast. That's where you can see Chiclets University, Chiclets TV. Everything we have going on, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and it'll pop up, alert you, and you will be dialed in to follow our every move. Along with me beating the wheels off my goddamn neighbor.
Sandbag at like 65 inches is great. You can watch on YouTube. It was fucking hilarious stuff. Quick note, talking about Buffalo a second ago, Devin Levi, since he was called back up, 3-0-1 with a 171 goals against, 942 save percentage. So whatever he did down there certainly helped him out. But that's not the big story this week. Craig Berube fired. Jordan Kyrou had some comments, said, I've got no comment. It's not my coach anymore. This thing kind of blew up. I don't know if it was taken out of context. And after the game, he was really upset. He got booed during the game. He got booed in the introductions. Gee, let's play his audio after the game, how upset he was.
Jordan, how difficult is it to have the fan base react the way they did tonight? Were you hearing the boos on the ice?
Yeah, definitely heard those. I mean, it's not easy, obviously, but I see where they're coming from, with how my comments sounded. So it's definitely tough. I mean, I love playing here. I love playing in front of the fans. So, yeah.
What would you want to say about Craig Berube? I mean, he's mentioned that he was your coach for a long time, but how did he impact your career? I mean, what can you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, helped me in a lot of ways, right? It's really helped me round out my game and try to be a more complete player. So, like I said, I respect him as a guy and, no hate towards him at all.
When did you find out that the comments kind of blew up?
No, just earlier the day after I woke up from my nap.
What, if anything, would you want to say to the fans?
I mean, just, sorry if it sounded in a bad way at all. I mean, just like I said, I'm just really trying to focus on the future here and focus on what I can do to, help our team win and, help get wins for the boys. So,
I mean, just a crazy turn of events. And then that weekend, he plays Saturday night, gets a goal, 2 assists, first star of the game. He gets interviewed after, drops a couple F-bombs. Gee, roll that as well.
Jordan, just a huge win here for you guys tonight, but for you personally, it's a great performance. And you hear the cheers here tonight. You love these fans, don't you?
It's awesome. I love playing here. I love this rink. It was a great win by us tonight.
I mean, just a crazy turn of events. And, Tony X, probably the most famous Blues fan on Twitter, he basically called it, said it was a tough watch to see him go through that, but he says he'll bounce back from it. The city will love him, and that happened the next 3 days later. But first off, Berube fired. That's a fucking huge shock. Nobody was talking about it. What was your take on Berube getting fired? I don't think nobody had that coming.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did either. I think most Blues fans were pretty disappointed in the fact that, that's a guy who came in there and pretty much made himself a legend forever in that city, bringing them a Stanley Cup title in 2019 with this miraculous, the Gloria, the last place in January, and all of a sudden going on this incredible run to win a Game 7 on the road. And for the most part, the team, I think, was doing right about what I expected them to do this year, maybe even above what I expected. So the fan base was more about and I love Army, Doug Armstrong. He's been great to Biz and I our entire career since we met him and post-career. But I think fans were saying, well, he put this roster together and Berube's he's getting let go. It's not fair. You gave him these groceries. What's he supposed to do with it? And they were, I think, 2 points out of the wild card when he was let go. Now, it's basically been the inconsistency of their play all season that's the real problem. They hadn't lost more than 2 games in a row, but I don't think they'd won maybe more than 2 or 3 games in a row. So it was just kind of like a roller coaster back and forth. And then that week, I think it was 4 in a row. They lost that game to Detroit, and that's where the Kyrou things comes in. He kind of called out Kyrou's play with the goalie pulled when it was 5-4, and they were trying to tie it up about making a soft play at the offensive blue line. All of a sudden, it's in the net. Detroit wins 6-4, but they'd lost 3 games prior to that. The weird thing was, throughout this year, I think they've beat Vegas, they've beat Colorado, yet they've lost to Columbus, they've lost to San Jose, I think, and so it's one of those things where it's like Jekyll and Hyde, and all of a sudden, if Army's looking at it like, I can't figure out who this team is, I believe in Berube's message. He's been here 6 years. He's won a Stanley Cup. I just don't think the guys are necessarily listening anymore. And there was a really good article by Jeremy Rutherford, I believe his name is, with The Athletic, and he talked to Berube after he was let go. Pretty cool. Same way Mike Russo did after... what's his name in Mini?
Dean Everson.
After Everton was let go. So just kind of an in-depth interview into a coach's thoughts on being canned right after it happened. So check that out and read it if you want. In the end, I see where Army was coming from, and I also see the entire other side of the fan base being like, this is not his fault. Now, St. Louis has won 2 in a row, so it's similar to Edmonton and Minnesota getting this bump with the coach and being let go, and all of a sudden coaches are like, oh shit, like every team's responding when their coach is fired. Like, I think there's a guy in Ottawa who's probably panicking a little bit. And I'll say this, I said it on Game Notes, and I think DJ Smith's an awesome guy. I've never met him, but talking to Brady Tkachuk and these guys, they love him. I would be calling Craig Berube immediately if I'm Michael Andlauer. Like, I just think that is the perfect guy who's been through going to a team that's completely underperforming up to their expectations and switching the culture around. I get Craig Berube in Ottawa as quick as possible if it's me. Obviously, Ottawa has different ideas with that disaster of a season so far, but I felt bad. I felt bad for Berube. I think he probably didn't expect it, and in the end, he was kind of a sacrificial lamb, and one of those things where you can't trade everyone. And what do you do when the team's underperforming? In the GM's eyes, you let go of the coach. So he'll land on his feet somewhere, no doubt. Just a tough end for a guy who had that amazing run, 4 years ago now, 5 years.
I think based on what he'd accomplished there, he deserved to ride out the rest of the season. That's what I was most surprised about. And going back to you, like, I love Army, and he put together that championship roster, but I think since the moves he's made since have really hurt the organization, right? Like
Petro,
the
baby.
biggest one, Petro. Like, completely overthought that. I can understand him thinking that Parenko could take over maybe that number 1 position the way that he did play in that championship run. But man, Petro's a dog. He can hit every area of the game, and he's just that fucking, he's got that type A personality, man, where he's going for your throat, going for the jugular. He can close in on guys. He plays physical. He can play power play. He can block shots, penalty kill. He's not intimidated easily. So that was to me the kind of like the beginning of the end, so to speak, to that championship caliber team. And then here we are kind of in the midst of somewhat of a rebuild. Even not re-signing Perron yet, bringing in other guys that they did was shocking to me. Like, Perron's a fucking gamer, right? He's a piece of shit to play against, who's awesome on special teams and has really turned into a leader. I mean, maybe earlier in his career there were issues. That's why he was moved out of St. Louis, moved out of St. Louis, then brought back, and then now moved out again. But so I would say that I can understand the frustration from a part of the fan base as to, why Berube when Army should be responsible for a lot of these moves. Well, I also don't think Army should be moved either based on what he's provided the organization. So I don't think that there was any surprise that there was conflict between Kyrou and Berube. Like, I'm not even close to the organization, and I've heard rumblings that they just butt heads. Berube being that old school style of coach, I think that when he had that old veteran group, when they won the Stanley Cup, they liked it. I talk about it all the time. Like, my favorite coach in pro or one of them, I love Tip. I really liked all of them, but my favorite, I would have to say, was Mike Stothers. And I liked his hard approach, and I liked how he continually kept us accountable. And yeah, can some days it get monotonous in a sense of where, you're feeling like you're getting your fucking pee-pee whacked nonstop? Yeah, but ultimately he's looking out for the betterment of the team and the way that everybody's playing and making sure they're playing the right way. And it goes back to, you already mentioned it, the comments post-game. I think that Berube just wanted Kyrou to understand that if he does have championship aspirations, yeah, he's got high flying skill. He can move, and it's fun to watch sometimes. But if you want to hoist Lord Stanley, you really have to learn how to work the corners, play along the walls, play better on the defensive side of the puck. Not always worried about your cookies, where you might be less than a point per game player, but you need to play the right way. And it didn't seem, at least from what I'm hearing, that Kyrou was as receptive to that. And or maybe just not as receptive as it from Berube, maybe the way that the message was being delivered. So when he did get let go, and then all of a sudden Kyrou made those comments, like, I'll be the first one to say, like, I don't want to see a young guy go through that. And you could see how much of an emotional toll it took on him. I mean, he was crying in his post-game interview. Like, how often do you see a guy crying in a post-game interview when he's getting booed? Like, when's the last time have you ever seen that?
In December, too. One thing in the playoffs, but not typically during the regular season.
But I can't remember many players being booed if they're in playoffs. But like, do you remember the last time a player being booed and then him crying in a post-game scrum?
I think there's a chance it's the first time it ever happened, man.
There you go, right? I was trying to think about it.
Yeah, and I felt horrible for Kyrou, and I guess I'll go into it in a minute about having been through exactly what he went through, but not though. But not though, Whit. Because he had the opportunity to thank a Stanley Cup champion, a guy who played 1,000 games in the NHL as a scrapper and played the game very difficult. He put his blood, sweat, and tears into winning this city of St. Louis its first ever championship. I think in hockey anyway, obviously not baseball, but take the high road if you're Kyrou, right? This was a learning experience. And then he says what he says. Like, those comments were insulting. That's an insulting comment. Even regardless if you didn't see eye to eye with your head coach, to say what he said was a little gutless in my opinion. And the crowd booing, some people are saying, oh, the boos were ridiculous. No, they were warranted. That's a fan base trying to keep a player accountable, saying like, hey, buddy, we get that you're sticking around, but if that's the type of attitude you want to bring, and especially to people who have done this city right, fuck you. And they did, and I'm sure after seeing the post game scrum and him crying, and maybe they probably felt that they were a little too harsh on him. But ultimately, I think that he learned his lesson. He had more comments and more thanks to give Berube, and kind of changed his tone as a result of the fan base keeping him accountable. And then 24 hours later, it's a great swing. It was good to see. It was good to see him go out there and have that type of performance, and then the fan base to be cheering him on and be on his side. And I think that everybody can move on from this. But to say that the boos weren't warranted, I think that's completely ridiculous. If anything, I think that the comments that he had were gutless towards Berube.
Wow.
And I have nothing personal against Kyrou either. I hope he goes on and flourishes and have an incredible career.
We met him in Vegas the night before the skills competition. And what a move by the league with the new skills competition. I love that. We got that later in the show. But we met him the night before. He was talking about hoping to win the, was it fastest skater? That he ended up taking it down.
He said, I'm going to win fastest skater. And we're like, you're going against McDusty. I don't know.
No, I don't think McDavid was doing it that year.
He wasn't?
I think he took it off. I think. I may be wrong on that one, but Kyrou ended up taking that down, and we had a good little chat with him, a real nice kid. And I think that's it's just a straight up like learning moment for him. Like you got to take the high road, as you said, and you got to be very complimentary to a guy that has a lot of respect, not only in that city, but around the league. And as a younger player who's really underperformed this year at times, it's like you cannot come off looking like you don't appreciate him and what he did. And in that Rutherford article I brought up, Berube mentioned, I was brutally honest with people, and a lot of people probably didn't like it, and I'm sure him and Kyrou are probably going at it a lot more than maybe others because of how important he is to that team and how he's kind of had a tough start to the year overall. So he's kind of probably happy that he's gone. That's just a fact. As a player, a skilled player who's had a guy in his ear, he's probably happy that he's gone. He's like, and also I do think it would be a little fair if we had saw the video of the way he said, I've got no comment, he's not my coach anymore. That was just written in print. Nobody ever saw a video of that. Reading that, it looked horrible. It looked horrible right away. There was a bunch of hate towards him. I agree with you, Biz. The boos were warranted. And as a guy who was booed by his home crowd in not one, not two, but 3 cities, it sucks. And I remember the first time I kind of started realizing it, it was the best year I had in the league. Lucky enough, it was my contract year. I signed that 6-year deal in Pitt, had all the foot surgeries that summer, came back in January. Or no, I'm sorry, I was fine. I didn't have any surgeries that summer. I played that next year, but it was already really bad, and I was struggling. And then the booze started, right? And then I remember coming out after intermission once, and there was you could make your own sign. They weren't bigs, but you could get these, piece of paper with Pittsburgh Penguins logo and write stuff on it. And there was a section right near the corner to the right of our bench, and there was probably 20 people holding up signs at me, trade Whitney, trade Whitney. And I was getting the puck, and you're hearing the boo birds, and it was tough. Now I'll say this, and I'm not trying to sound like some tough old guy. I did not cry after the game to the media. I don't really blame him. He's young and he's emotional, and that thing came like a storm at him when he probably didn't expect it. Even mentioning he woke up from pregame nap and he's trending on Twitter all of a sudden.
Elliot Friedman talked about that in 32 Thoughts, where it's I don't think this guy's ever experienced being a talking point on Twitter for a negative
high
reason.
Pick and a stud from a young age. I mean, you've had your ass kissed your whole life, and all of a sudden, you your home fans are all over you. It's a quick, immediate shock. Now, I don't mean to be chirping him for crying. It was just I've never seen that. And obviously the kid couldn't help it. He was super emotional. But for me, it's so tough, because what happens is once you start hearing those boos,
I cried when the fucking Islanders fans booed Tavares the other night. I don't blame anybody for crying.
Yeah, you were, we'll get into that one. You were bent out of shape. Butch Goring bent you over the railing too. But what happens is once you start hearing the boos, and nobody has ever, I shouldn't say that, but in my mind, Sergei Gonchar got booed by the Pittsburgh Penguins fans harder than I've ever seen somebody get booed. Ask Merles. I'm talking where he got the puck that first year when the lockout ended, Crosby's rookie year. Gonch had a really tough start. He signed a 5-year deal in Pittsburgh. He ended up lighting it up from January 1st and on. I think over a point per game. But the first 2 months, I'm talking pick up the puck behind the net and 15,000. Boo! And so I remember actually thinking wow, Gonch has been through this. And Gonchar was an incredible player already before he got to Pittsburgh.
And a classy guy, and probably hadn't said anything in the media that would have warranted it. It was just strictly based on his play.
Yeah, he was playing horrible.
Oh, he was struggling.
And he being such a classy vet, he ended up getting through it and beating it, and I ended up getting traded. But I think that what happens is once I heard those boos, then all of a sudden, you're getting the puck and you kind of hear them even more, and then you make a mistake and they get louder, and it just snowballs so much to the fact that you're now you're thinking about it so much, and there's times you don't even really want the puck. I hate to admit that, but I'm this is getting so bad. I even remember playing Philly in the second round, the year we went to the Cup, and first shift, and I actually had a pretty good first round, but there were a lot of, against Ottawa, there was a lot of fans who still didn't like me, and first shift of the game, I wheeled the net, and I just went to kind of throw it off the glass, and it went up over the glass for a delay of game, and they came out loud again, and I'm holy shit, we're in the playoffs right now, but I kind of battled through. I was proud of myself in battling through that in playoffs, and we winning the series obviously really helped. But it's a mentally exhausting thing. And Chris Pronger, I read something where he was mentioning being booed on the road. That's a dream come true. That means you're doing your job. The fans hate you. That's unreal. When you're getting booed on the road, you're a star, or you've done something pretty bad to a star player. Either way, it's not bad news, right? Getting booed at home, dude, that's your faithful, and that's the people you want to make proud, and you want to have cheer for you, and it's just a kick in the dick. So I understand that the kid being that upset.
You were getting booed in playoffs?
That was one instance, but that playoff run, it wasn't bad, and I think I played pretty solid. I wasn't playing that much. I was kind of third pair with Letang or Daryl Sador, but I just remember that one play. I heard those people from earlier in the season that had been pretty rough on me. So it's just a tough thing for a player to go through, and anyone in the NHL, for the most part, as you're younger, not necessarily super young, but college age, you're one of the elite players, and then you're used to that. You're used to being one of the guys that all the fans love, and then all of a sudden you get to the NHL and these people are booing you, and it's one thing to just sit back and think wow, our home fan base who roots for everything we do hates me. It can be really defeating, and so I felt for him on that one.
Yeah, knowing the fan base is having pops like pregame, just going to a bar, just talking shit about you, and then fucking knowing that they're going to rain the booze on you. The only time I've ever experienced that was at Chiclets Cup in Buffalo this year when we got beat
that was
in the
me
semifinals.
booing you.
Wait, were you able to compartmentalize it, or did it like bug you when you were home just chilling out? You know what I mean? Like,
you had to have been taking that home with you, know?
Yeah, it was
because your dad said something to you.
You know, I was single then. Like, that's probably a time when you'd be really appreciative to be like married and have a support system at home and have kids to get your mind off the game.
She's like, no, I was booing you too.
Yeah. Little Ryder, if I was playing, is like, this guy sucks. But
that motherfucker didn't move the elf on the shelf. Boo! You're a bum. That thing's not even real, you fuck.
Wyatt's making a crayon sign. Whitney the plug. But
the elf on the shelf was just the people at that other table at dinner the other night, fucking
Yeah.
snitching on you.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? It was a really cool arc to the story that Kyrou had such a big game Saturday. Something that blows over quick, and it's pretty important he did that right away to kind of end it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
if he struggled after that, then I don't know if those Boo Birds would have gone away. So props to him for mentally being strong enough to show up Saturday night, play that well, and get over it, and then get the fans back on his side. So a pretty good story in the end.
Also want to mention he was replaced by Drew Bannister. He had been coaching AHL Springfield for the last 3 years. That must feel like getting out of prison, man. Coaching Springfield, all of a sudden they pull you out fucking to go to the NHL.
That's a tough town. That's a tough city, boys.
Tough spot. It's Armstrong's fifth coach since he's taken over as GM. So, yeah, so far so good for him. You think they get in the playoffs, Biz? I know we had predictions earlier.
I said before the season, well, Central's the weakest division. I said they would be my surprise team if I could say a team that I had out missing it could make playoffs. But I don't think that they end up making it. No.
All right. Wasn't the only place the Boo Birds are out this week. The Leafs are on Long Island with their captain, John Tavares. He was at 998 points. He scored his 8th of the year to get to 999. Then he assisted on Morgan Riley's goal later to get to 1,000 points. And how did the Islanders pay it forward to him? They booed him. He was there for 9 years. Just a wild scene. And there was an old video too, man, when he was in the penalty box. Like, these Islanders fans are fucking nuts. I know Borelli's sort of the prototype of it, but were the boos warranted? Did he deserve that, or was it just like a shithead?
You got to go to Biz to start this one. This is his Leafs.
Yeah.
This is his story. I got some opinions on it, but let Biz take this one from the hop.
There had only been 88 players in NHL history to reach 1,000 points, and the main complaint Islanders fans keep throwing at me is that, he told us he was staying. We could have got picks and things, assets for the future because he didn't get traded at the deadline. Where it's like they were in the midst of a playoff run. Like, he wanted to stay there. Maybe at the time that's how he felt, and things can change in a 4-month span. So the fact that after he ends up recording that 1,000 point in the dying seconds of the game to tie it, and then they put him on the Jumbotron and give him a tribute, for them to boo him, I just think at a certain point, you got to fucking let it go. Like, you already threw the snakes at him. You already fucking booed him every time he showed up. But to hit an NHL milestone like that, and for what he'd done for the organization up until that point, he was like, at a certain point, he was the only reason that you want to even go watch the Islanders. So I just thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was classless. I mean, I can understand maybe booing him just, every game, just, as a regular fan when he touches the puck, like you say, but when he reaches his 1,000th point in a place that he played majority of his career, I just think you need to put your whatever you have against them aside and congratulate a feat that has only been done by less than 100 players in the history of the National Hockey League. Like, am I crazy here? Like, all the like joking and fuck you Islanders and all the bullshit aside, like, I thought that was just an absolute ridiculous showing by the Islanders faithful. Am I crazy here, Whit?
So you're crazy in the fact that, like, I don't know if you're understanding or realizing, like, these are New Yorkers, dude. These people are fucking tapped. Like, this is New York. Like, they'll boo anyone, and they really don't care that he was there and dominant, and they loved him because he left them, and forever they will despise him. So I think there was a lot of people booing that obviously or should have obviously really respected what he did. But the fact that he did it back in their building, like that could bug him even more. And they look to the fact of like, we should still have him. He should still be here. He screwed us over. And I don't think he was lying. I think it was a last minute decision. He dreamt of being a Leaf. When he said, I don't want to be traded, he thought like, honestly, I might resign here. It didn't work out. Now, I don't agree with the booing. But I also can kind of put myself in the fans' shoes and especially New York scumbags and understand like they're gonna boo him forever. That's just how it is, especially in that city. And the best part about it was though, he got the goal. I mean, what a reaction by his dad too when they tied it up. But they got the goal and they're down 1. He's got one more point to tie the game up and get his 1,000th point. And I texted Borelli, I said, you know for a fact they're tying this up and he's either scoring it or assisting it.
No shit, you sent him that?
Oh, I said it, and he goes, how could you put that out there? And it must have been 2 minutes later. And what was cool was when the goal went in, when Yarncroc scored it, like I kind of right away I was like, oh, like did Tavares like did that hit him? And then right away, like they all realized at once. I think it was Martin who realizes, starts pointing to him, and they all skate over to Johnny T, and even the goal scorer goes over, and just an awesome celebration and picture of Tavares like yelling at one of the guys on his team like in celebration, and having the dad strip go on, and having his dad was standing up. He was like so stressed out and just went nuts as he got it. And I think he said something like, Johnny touched that one. Or it was just an awesome storyline. Like the drama that unfolded at that night at UBS was what a perfect scene. But in terms of the booing, I don't agree with it, but I totally get it. And New York, I could have never played in New York. I'd be in a mental institution right now if I played for one of those teams.
And to clarify, that last year he was there, they didn't make playoffs.
No,
but they finished 2 games below 500. But by the time the deadline's there, like you don't know what's going to end up happening. Maybe you can make that late push. And as the team's captain, you just don't want to bail on your team. And who knows? Like when he had conversations with the Islanders organization when free agency hit, maybe he didn't like what he heard, and maybe he all of a sudden the direction in which he assumed the team was heading, whether it was coaching or whether it was the players that they were going to try to bring in to surround him, maybe all of a sudden Toronto just felt a lot more appealing, and of course going back home. And I would have assumed that they would have matched any amount of money that Toronto would have paid him in order to keep him. But at the end of the day, you just have to cut the cord at some point. And especially if you're not going to, you have to let it aside at a milestone like that. Under 100 players in the league's history. Come on, Islanders fans. Shockingly, I'm going to say this. You're better than that.
Having villains is what makes being a sports fan so great, though.
I hear you. I hear you.
There's nothing better than just like picking out one guy across the league that you hate, and anytime he comes to your barn, you just boo the absolute shit out of him. That's what makes being a sports fan so awesome. I
think that it's crazy that based on what he did, he becomes a villain. Becoming a villain is like,
that's crazy, buddy.
I think you could do a lot worse in order to become a team's. You talked about it, like taking out the other team's star player, like something of that nature. He fulfilled fulfilled his duty. He fulfilled his duty with the team all the way even to the end of that season. At that point in time, he felt that his heart was with the Islanders, and things changed after the season had ended. He didn't give up on his team. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Okay. I get that they're pissed off that they didn't get the assets because he didn't make the decision at that time. But this guy has a family. He's on Long Island. He doesn't want to uproot his family. He wants to finish off the season and the contract in which he signed. I think that that's very honorable.
I don't think if you ask, actually, you have to ask an Islanders fans, but like, so Bruins fans, they hate Ulf Samuelsson. He took out Cam Neely. Islanders fans, they hate Dale Hunter. He took out Pierre Turgeon after that overtime winner. I would think that they would hate a guy like that more than John Tavares, but still, I understand the hatred. Like, you're there, you're the captain, first overall pick, and you left us. So I understand it. It goes back to the biggest disconnect between players and fans, and there is so much that they might agree on, and then there's so much that they will always disagree on. And the hatred towards a player who left the team, most players are like, hey, like, I've played, you want to be somewhere else, you want to try to win a cup, you don't think you can do it there. And then there's fans like, you left us high and dry. And that hatred and that feeling of him taking off and not wanting to be a part of that organization will forever live on.
Yeah, he changed his mind and they acted like jilted lovers, man. It's a little crazy at this point.
And they're
but
New York.
Hey, so RA, you agree with me, right?
Scum.
Do you agree with me, RA?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, let it go, man. I mean, the guy didn't do anything evil. He changed his mind. Circumstances change. It happens in life, and he didn't do anything where they still gotta like dump on him like this. But I don't know. Congrats to John, anyways. The 98th play of biz to hit 1,000
98th?
points.
What did I say?
You said under 100, I think.
Oh, okay.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I might have said 89th.
Yeah. Well,
My apologies.
Little dyslexia coming in there.
Yeah.
Shit happens. What do you
I still got that drill bit in my brain from next door.
It's still going?
Black and
No,
dark.
it finally stopped. It finally stopped.
Ooh, did you threaten him?
No, I kept it cool. Kind of like I have the entire podcast so far.
Yeah, Biz, I think a few of those Boo Birds hitched a ride to Toronto as well because the Leafs were hearing it Thursday night. They were down 5-0 to Columbus after 2 periods, but you got to give them credit. They battled back. Samsonov stayed in the game. His goalie coach, Curtis Sanford, lobbied for that to happen. They ended up tying it late. Austin Matthews, 22nd and 23rd goals of the year. They lost in overtime, but I got a feeling does that almost feel like a win, Biz, that type of game? You battle back 5-0, tie it up, and they still got the loser point. But what's
I just
the
thought it
room
was an
afterwards?
insane game. I mean, I don't know how many times in the league you see a 5-goal comeback, but I mean, in this case, the boos were definitely warranted with the play against a bottom feeder, as I like to say, in the Columbus Blue Jackets. But I like that move by keeping him in there. You got to gain some mental strength as far as a goaltender at some point. And I think you might have already said it. Like, that's a page out of Vasilevsky's book, staying in there, battling through it, and then they come back and finally get everything going. So I would say this year, Leafs are always like this, though, man. They have some insane comebacks. It happened game 1 against Montreal. They've had a few throughout the course of the season, and ultimately a very entertaining game. Not ideal to lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets, but at least the fans got their money's worth. And just I think that overall, I don't know if Knies was playing in that one. He might have been hurt, but I think overall, just to talk about the team, between Knies and Domi, I feel like I've really been impressed with their play as of late. Domi struggled out of the gate, coming back home to Toronto. Sometimes there's a little bit added pressure, but I think that he's really finally gotten acclimated and he's making his presence felt. One thing that ended up happening, but this wasn't in that game, was the Revo thing. Did you guys see that?
That was ugly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what do you think he did? Like an ACL
I don't know
or
if
something?
it's knee or ankle, but it looked like it could be a while, man.
Oh God, he caught a rut and right into the wall. Looked ugly. So hopefully he's all right and he's back soon. But Leafs are buzzing, man. Ever since
they look good.
Yeah, they look good. They're fucking flying right now.
Then Saturday, Leafs fans, they got the old chant, Daryl, but they were giving it to Dubas. They were blowing Pittsburgh out of the building. But wait, have you ever heard that chant before for a GM? The old Daryl style?
No, they were thanking him for everything he's done for the organization. That was them. That was the reverse Islander. They were thanking him for locking in all those star players and getting those team friendly deals.
That was crazy. I mean, that had to be tough for Dubas. That game meant a lot to him, whether he'd say it or not. And I think Pittsburgh probably knew that as well. And they just had a stinker of a game. And it was kind of brutal for them because it was the end of the dad's trip. They had a great win at home, I think, against the Coyotes. Then they went on the road. They beat Montreal. The power play got going. Pittsburgh looked good. Try to finish this dad's trip off with a big win on the road. I actually gave out the Pens as a pick on my appearance on Game Notes. That was an ugly pick for Saturday. They got blown out. But that's a booing you got to just kind of chuckle at. I mean, Dubas, everything kind of ended. I don't think we'll ever get the real story on what happened between him with him and Brendan Shanahan and how they decided to move on.
You know what I heard the rumor was?
What?
Is he wanted to move Marner.
I've heard that rumor too, and
that
he wanted to move Marner, and Shanahan said no way, and that was the beginning of it. Now, that's rumor boys talk right there, but to hear a GM just Dubas just giving it to him in the second and third, that had to be tough, sitting in the box, watching a team who looks really good lately, who, if they get goaltending, could go on a run. You never know with the Leafs. And then your team has just been so inconsistent, has had such a tough start to the year. You're sitting outside the playoffs right now. You got Crosby with 17 goals, lighting up this league. You got no secondary scoring. You got nothing going on the power play until the past 2 games, and you're getting just ridiculed by the fan base that you were the head of for a few years. So pretty interesting, and that's a booing where you're like, whether you agree with it or not, it's pretty funny. I mean, that's a fan base just going at a former employee of the team that isn't there anymore and just just enjoying their drumming of your new club as you sit in the building and have to watch it. I was surprised. I wasn't watching the game completely because I was out. Were they panning to him on camera on the broadcast?
From the clips that I saw, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's when you know the camera's going to be on you and you just try to sit there stone face like, I'm so mad, but I'm not going to react.
I know we're going to be going to Buccigross. I just want to talk. So Matthews, 23 tucks on the year. Now he's actually at a goal rate that's better, at a better pace to beat Wayne Gretzky than what Ovechkin was at the time. So he surpassed that at the start of the year. I think he was a little bit behind. So his first goal of the year ended up being the 300th of his career. So right now he's at 322. But I mean, Buccigross, and we're going to be talking to him. He kind of started that conversation sooner rather than later. Like I think he started talking about it around this time in Matthews' career when Ovechkin was around that age. I think that there's a high chance that Matthews ends up being the highest goal scorer of all time. He's a freak in the gym. Like he doesn't like the way that the game's evolved kind of protects these types of players. He doesn't play nearly as physical as Ovechkin did. So as far as his body holding up, people do say he's been injured a lot more than what Ovi was, especially early on. But yeah, I think that there's a high probability that Matthews ends up breaking the overall goal record.
So my buddy Bunzo, he's actually brothers-in-law with Chris Drury. He was at the game at MSG when Toronto put a beating on the Rangers. He had never seen Matthews play. He told me, he's like, I had no idea how big he was.
Oh, he's a monster.
And two, like, he is so dynamic and powerful and dominant out there. Like he's kind of a player once you see in person for the first time, you're like, holy shit. You're just like, I think the size is the major factor, but then the speed, how smooth he is, and the release. Yeah, I mean, if he continues on this run, I mean, the crazy thing is I was reading something that his goals expected, he should have even more goals. Like, I think the way he's played this year, MVP type performance, just so dominating when he's out there, and defensively, like maybe a lot better than people give him credit for. Yes. And so just a world-class goal scorer, like the shot and then the poise around the net. And then what happens, what is the term that you use for somehow great goal scorers and great players? The puck just finds them. Like the tying goal against Columbus, right? Like it's just, he's in the right spot. He finds open
Same
ice.
Same thing against Montreal at the beginning of the year, first game. Like he's always that guy to tie it up late.
And people think that's like luck. And I guess sometimes it is, but guys who the puck always finds, like that's not complete luck. Like they know where to be. They know the soft spots. And obviously he plays with some incredible players that are able to find them. And it is an amazing thing to watch that guy play hockey. He is something else.
Hey, Biz, do you know where that chant started? The sing-song thing? Daryl. Like, you know,
I don't even know what you're talking about with Daryl. I don't.
No, well, that's what the first time that chant was done. It was 1986 World Series. And then the Fenway fans started chanting that Darryl Strawberry, Daryl. And then that's literally the first time it happened. And it's become, obviously, a crowd thing. So I knew you were a wee lad back in 86.
You think that's the first time ever?
I don't remember.
Kind of like Cam Neely was the first ever power forward.
Oh yeah, people really fucking took that one and ran with it. Holy shit! That's not what I busted my balls, but everyone was like, "Oh, you dumb! You never heard it." Like this guy, that guy. I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Well, I mentioned Gordie Howe. You didn't do a great job explaining that the term power forward was what began with Neely, I think.
Oh, I thought I pretty clear with it. But either way, Biz, you mentioned Buccigross. I think probably a great time to send it over to him. I believe his third visit. Just an awesome guy to talk to with anything, especially hockey. So without further ado, we're gonna send it over to Bucci.
This interview is brought to you by Chevy.
Chevy is working to make charging simple with over 110,000 charging stations across the US and Canada and growing. Your smartphone becomes your co-pilot when using My Chevrolet mobile app with Energy Assist. The app allows you to access vehicle information like battery status and charging settings from anywhere. And I've seen more and more of these on the road. They're beautiful vehicles. I'd like to think that we're seeing more and more because of maybe my ad reads and RA's ad reads. I think it's more so that it's just an unreal ride. But either way, I like seeing them out there. The Energy Assist feature intelligently plans your routes, tells you where and how long to charge up, and gives you real-time data about charging station availability. There are 3 different home charging levels available. Chevy electric vehicles offer great options for charging. All of them as simple as plugging in your smartphone. Learn more at Chevy.com/electric. That's Chevy.com/electric.
Well, we're very happy to bring back this friend of the program for his third appearance on the show. You've been watching him on ESPN for the last 27 years, from NHL Tonight to doing play-by-play these days. When you think NHL on ESPN, you think of this guy. It's great to welcome back to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, John Buccigross. How the hell are you, Booch?
Boys, good to see you. Thanks,
Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks for all you do for the game.
Hey, you look unbelievable. Like, what are you fucking taking right now for like supplements and shit? I got to get on your program.
It's a filter. It's old man ripped filter, Biz. It's on the new iPhone.
Fuck off. What are you actually doing? Like, give me what your like daily or weekly routine is right now.
I eat eggs, fish, and steak, and I drink bourbon, and that's it.
And he snaps on people on Twitter who say steak's bad for you.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I love a good steak. So what would you consider that? Like a keto based diet?
Yeah, I don't really give it a name because I do like carbs too. I'll smash some parm and some pasta. My body likes carbs. I'm actually on an oatmeal kick right now in the morning, pounding some oatmeal as well. So, you know.
Did you listen to that long distance runner? Is that why you started doing that? The guy who like set the record for like the quickest marathon. And
yeah,
people
I read
were
a lot of
shitting.
stuff. Yeah, I read a lot of stuff. I went too probably heavy, high fat, no carb for a while. And that's not good for me because it's tough for me to gain weight. I know people hate to hear that. So, I just got to keep it simple with eggs, fish, meat, and then, you know, once in a while, some pasta and carbs and baked potatoes. And so, yeah.
I bet you these other guys are like, geez, we kind of went off the rails.
Yeah, you can FaceTime what do you go through your workout plans together.
No, time out. I think that listeners once in a while like when we get off the rails and talk about different things. And I think that diet, especially as you get older and the way that it helps our fucking brain operate. We were actually talking about flossing and gut health last podcast as well. And what did you think?
Flossing is really important for your gut health.
What about your brain health?
Well, yeah, because the stuff gets in your mouth and it rots between your teeth. Then you swallow the juices. And then it goes up to your brain, and you end up like Biz. We can't have that.
Told me that last week.
I love it, buddy. I love how you fucking chirp me, and that's probably the reason we got you on for the third time. And you were pretty opinionated on the hitting situation, and that was an inflammatory thing that Tort said. It caught wind. I tend to agree with him, and then you disagreed, and I wanted to get you on to get your opinion along with all this other stuff you have going on in the hockey world.
Well, the body checking thing, as you know, right now, USA Hockey, it's 13 years old is when you start. When my oldest kid, Brett, started back in the late 90s playing hockey, it was 11. And then when my youngest son, Jack, that's him up there.
The stick, the golfer.
They changed it to 13, which I'm glad for him because he was 54 pounds, you know, when he was 11 years old. And he was playing against kids who are 140 pounds, 3 times his body weight. So kids like his late bloomers like him quit hockey at that stage because they don't want to get pounded into the boards by some over hormonal kid with a maniac parent and a maniac coach. So, you know, and those are the years where kids' brains aren't fully formed. They're just not fully formed. I mean, if we waited to give kids driver's license from 16 to 18, you know how many fewer accidents there would be? Imagine letting kids drive at 14, 15. Their brains aren't ready yet, especially boys. And certainly teach body contact starting at 8 years old. Teach angling. Teach, winning pucks. That's the big thing. If you teach winning pucks and angling, you'll have like the women's game, right? The women's game is a pretty physical game, but there's not blow up body checks to the head area. And I just think because Luke Hughes isn't aware of who's on the ice, we're gonna affect Sparky there in Missouri, that 11 years old. He's got to start hitting because Luke Hughes didn't know Hathaway was on the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was more, and that's a great point because you have kids, right? And they've been through it. And I was more looking the other way of like at a smaller age, you could get more adapted to it because you're not going as fast and maybe the hits aren't as hard. And even maybe starting sooner than that from the context standpoint. And you also mentioned the women's game where there's a lot more of the riding out and less of the open ice hitting.
Right. Angling and winning pucks. You could do that at 8 years old, shoulder to shoulder. Go for the puck. When in doubt, go for the puck.
So basically, oh, sorry to interrupt you. Basically, and there have been some big hitters from Sweden, but overall, when I think of Sweden, that's it. Taking the angle, taking you out of the play easily without an enormous hit and getting out of position, and like smart hockey in a sense.
Yeah. But Cronwell, definitely, your head's down, coming up the wall.
People.
But that was a tactical play where he is blowing up the going up the breakout. He's blowing up the breakout play along the wall. And let's face it, intimidation's good for adults. And if you AAA hockey with these kids who are similar size and similar skills, and they have those ability to change directions better than your average kid. I guess I was looking at the average kid more than the AAA. Then maybe you can move it back to during private hockey and things like that when they're 11 years old or even younger if you want. But with the lack of fully forward brains, with obviously the concussion issue, and we don't want kids quitting hockey. We want to have the kids a place to play. It's just amazing when we need boys to keep playing hockey 14, 15, 16, when temptations and things are going on. That's when we discard them. There's no place for them to play. And that's a little bit of a different issue, but a way to keep kids, especially boys, in the game and as long as they can, to be a part of a team, have a social aspect to their lives, exercise, fitness that we talked about. I just want them to make sure they stay in the game and give them every reason to do that.
I wonder if there's maybe a separate league that you could create in order to do that, or do you think a solution is implement the learning aspect at maybe an even younger age? Like maybe you start learning at 7, 8, 9 years old, and then as it goes on, then implement it. Maybe make certain games where they are contact in order to introduce them at a slower rate. I guess I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some happy ground.
Like I say, you can have body contact at 8. You can have angling. If you teach them angling and winning pucks first, then that'll get them in the mindset of how to make proper body contact. And then, to get the puck, because that's what we want them. We're trying to, there's a reason why you want to start golfing when you're young, take music lessons when you're young, learn a second language when you're young. Because that's when your brain is in those talent acquisition years, age 11, 10 to 13. That's when we can really learn things. And that's why they realize USA Hockey in Sweden, they're practicing 4 times and playing twice. In America, we play 4 times and practice twice because mom and dad want to be out there screaming Sparky on for the victory. And so that's why you said practice. We can teach these things. We can angle, win pucks, and slowly a little more contact. And I always play with your head up and teach that and drive that home. Then when you're 13 years old, most kids are post-puberty. Not everyone still, but most are kind of at least have that chance to protect themselves, have the experience to see the ice, stick handle with your head up, and angle first and win pucks first, and then contact, second and third.
Yes. So when a 12-year-old with a Fu Manchu buries you, at least you know it's going to be coming.
Exactly.
He's got kids.
He's got Copenhagen in his back pocket.
I need that kid to meet girls and booze to slow down on the ice.
Yes.
Pooch, I want to bring up expansion. After Seattle came in, Bettman seemed to put a bow on that. There's going to be no expansion, but there's been a huge drumbeat around it. New arena in Atlanta. Is the NHL going to expand again? How many teams where? Do you think it's going to happen or what?
No doubt about it. It's an easy way for the owners to make money. It's $1 billion entry fee now. They split that up 32 ways, for the next team, and then 33 ways the team after that. And so it's just too easy money right now. There's too many. It's the professional sports team. There's scarcity, right? There's more people who can buy a team than there are teams. Since the pandemic, billionaires have tripled. There's a lot of people with billions of dollars, and they want a sports team. So this is the time. And remember, there's only 25 teams in America for the NHL. Major League Baseball, NBA, and football are all over 30 in America. The baseball only has the Blue Jays, and the NBA only has the Raptors, and the NFL is all in America. So we have 25 markets. We definitely have room for a couple more markets. Obviously, Houston and Atlanta, because of the size and the TV market and the diversity those two cities offer. If the sport wants to get more diverse, then you probably want to go in diverse places. Then it will happen, because wherever hockey goes, it explodes. Youth hockey, beer league hockey, officials, everything, and now girls hockey. So it's just it mushrooms. It happened in Columbus. It happened in Pittsburgh with Mario, where NHL players are being produced. It happened in Texas. Blake Coleman from Plano, Texas. It happened in Florida. Goss Despair. And that'll happen if they built the right place in Atlanta and they have the right formula with now it's a hard salary cap. Thrashers didn't have that when they entered the league. And Houston as well. Those are two markets that come to mind right away. The middle of America, I think, still can have a market. Kansas City. Look at all those great USHL programs in Omaha and the D1 programs, Sioux Falls, the Dakotas, that area of the world. St. Louis has it all to themselves. And we produce NHL players from there as well. So certainly you see Houston, you see Atlanta, you see Kansas City right smack dab in the middle. There's plenty. I think there's enough hockey players in the world. There's 6 billion people on this planet. We can find 100 more hockey players to field 3 teams.
Yeah. Do you think at all about now I would be in favor. It sounds crazy, but getting more hockey players, more money, like I'm in. I do think that there's times now where the regular season can be a little bit of a snore. And I'm wondering if you water it down even more, do you think it affects it that much, or people wouldn't necessarily even know the difference?
I just think, again, we're producing players at a faster rate than there's job openings. And with the hard salary cap, we keep it very even. Look what a joke baseball is now. I mean, if you're a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, why would you buy a ticket or a T-shirt?
You're done.
There's no chance. The Dodgers just spent $700 million on a dude. Like, you're done. Baseball is toast. Football, a little more even. Basketball, they got all kinds of luxury taxes and aprons and all kind of stuff going on. So that's probably a little unfair too. But hockey right now is completely just. We have a very even league. And there's people who want to go to games and people that want to own games. And like I said, with 25 markets in the U.S. and a country that continues to grow, I just think we have room to grow, and this is the time to do it.
Booch, going back to the Atlanta thing, like, what do you make to people who say they don't deserve it because they couldn't sustain it twice already?
Me.
And what do you make of the Arizona situation which to me, another great market where if they can actually figure things out here, I think it could thrive. And you talk about the minor hockey program, plenty of guys come out of here, one being Austin Matthews.
No, I believe in Arizona. They have to find the right spot for it. Like Atlanta, it's a car city. Like Houston, it's a car city. It's not a mass transit city, so it has to be in the right place. The Atlanta Flames sucked because back then when you joined the league, you were going to suck for 10 years, whether you liked it or not. Thrashers came in the league. Again, there was not a hard salary cap. The arena probably not in a great place as it turned out. They never got traction, and then boom, they leave. I just think and look at the Braves now. This is the best place where the Braves park has been. They are thriving right now. Awesome ballpark, great crowds, loud crowds. Like Atlanta, again, they always had that reputation not being a great sports town. So I just think it's such a big market. It's in such a part of the country. I mentioned the diversity. You got a little bit of a regional thing with Carolina there. Maybe that could happen. The Florida teams. I just think it's I think it's worth another shot. It's not my money. It's going to be some billionaire's money, so I don't care. But I get it. But they never had a fair shot. I think that's what's great about the expansion rules now. It's like when you open up a Starbucks. If Starbucks knew that some brand new Starbucks on the corner of some hot spot in town has rats and drug deals and all kinds of shit going on, you would close that. You want that to succeed. We want the team to succeed. So we saw with Vegas, we saw with the Kraken. You make them good right away. It only benefits everybody, especially them. You want to get them going because those places have an exaggerated amount of revenue because of the enthusiasm of the new team. And that only makes the pot bigger. That makes the cap go up. That makes the players richer. It also creates jobs. Look at us. We have jobs because of this industry. Sports is an important industry. It's not a flippant party, fantasy thing. It produces jobs. It produces people pay their mortgages. They pay their tuitions because of this sport. And we can grow this sport and grow this industry, create jobs, and give it another shot. I'll give it one more shot. Okay, 3 strikes and you're out.
So exactly. So Atlanta over Houston because of the roots that are already there, and
I'd want both to the East and West. Then you have a Western Conference team, you have an Eastern Conference team. But if you're going to one at a time, I don't care what order you go. You probably do want to do Houston first, but then Salt Lake City is another great market. They're going to get a team. We know that. Him and Bettman, the owner, they love each other, and that's a cool part of the country. The Olympics are going to be there. We need to have best on best. You talked about the watered down regular season. I get that. That's why we need more best on best. We need Olympics. We need a World Cup. We want Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard to play in a tournament and play for their country. That's what we've lost. That's the one. I think Gary Bettman and the current front office has done an amazing job since he's become commissioner. He's grown the sport, the $6 billion sport. He took it to places people laughed at him, like Nashville and Columbus and Florida. But now that's the one failure is we didn't get the best on best juice. That's lighter fluid. Lighter fluid on a barbecue. That just gets it going. And we see it with the World Cup. What was that dude played for France last year in the World Cup? What was his name?
Belmar? Was it Belmar?
No, the soccer player for France. Messi.
Mbappe?
Yeah, I never heard of him until I watched that final. I'd never heard. And my radar is a little bit on the soccer, But I'd never heard of that guy, but I watched the final because it was Messi. It was the World Cup final. And now I know who this guy is. There's people who don't know who Connor McDavid is because they haven't watched him in the Olympics.
Okay, that's fair.
Before we dive into best on best, one more question about the expansion fee. I know the new owner is going to pay $1 billion. That gets split up among all the current owners. Union President Marty Walsh said he's going to ask for some of that. Do you think that the owners are going to give any of this to the players? Is there any possibility that happens?
I think they should. I don't know what it is, a 2% tip. I don't know, like you tip your Uber driver. But I mean, if you're going to have some sort of a partnership, you can throw the guys a little bit of a bone. That is so much money. But again, their argument is we're taking the risk. We're the ones who, are taking the risk with this team in Atlanta, in Houston. And as owners, we take the risk every year in our franchise. Some of us make these capital improvements on our arena. We might go in a little bit of debt. And so, we put these players in 5-star hotels. We fly them around charter. We provide them with food. It's an expensive sport. Once in a while, but of course, we know their franchise values are all skyrocketing. So they're making plenty of money. I think it's certainly worth the ask. I don't know what, the history of the CBAs in our country with teachers and steel workers and auto workers, how that works. I'm sure that's where the lawyers come in, but, it wouldn't be bad to throw the players a bone. I know the escrow thing would make me livid. I can't imagine losing that much of my paycheck, because of something I didn't control, but, hey, it's worth a shot. Marty, the one-man party.
So with best on best, I have people from Kelowna, British Columbia to Antigonish, Nova Scotia coming at me for my take that the U.S. will be the favorites with our goaltending.
Well, I think that you said that they would speed bag them is what you said.
Then I walked it back.
Yeah.
Then I walked it back and I said the days of Canada just owning us are over. Now, do you agree or are you still very scared of McDavid, Bedard, and Crosby?
And McCarr.
Well, I'd be scared of McDavid because right now he's 100% healthy again. And I watched him the other night, and I'm doing the Edmonton game Tuesday against Bedard, the first Bedard McDavid game on ESPN Plus. Thanks for subscribing. And he's an absolute freak show again. He's going to blow away with the scoring title again. The guy's getting 3 points a game. It's unbelievable. But no, yeah, America has the better goalies. We have depth. We're producing, pretty much equal talent now. It's kind of gone on for a little bit here. But Canada has the pride factor that the U.S. still doesn't quite have. They have that's a little secret sauce that Canada has. Sweden has a little bit of it. Even the Russians, when they get together, they're really into their country. And I know we have some pretty good patriots on Team USA, but I think that's, if you rank them, I think their true patriotism, probably because they've almost, our country's, it's almost like you're a bad person if you're patriotic in America these last 5 years. So I get that. It's like you're not allowed to be patriotic. And so that's part of it. But if they can, Patrick Kane had that. He was the one guy who was really proud to play for America. So, and I would name him, whether it's whatever role he would have. He might be too old to play on the team. I'd hire him as assistant GM. I'd hire him as a consultant or something. He's going to be at that Olympic Games. He's going to sell it to those kids. They look at him like a beacon.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, Patrick Kane should be involved, assistant GM, whatever, and be involved with that team because he's the one guy who radiates red, white, and blue.
And I would say the two guys you'd be putting on the jersey that could kind of provide that as well are the Kachucks.
That's a great call.
I feel like they're really embodying that right now, especially with Kachuk going down to Florida and how he's able to control the mic. He's like a WWE wrestler now, for fuck's sakes, the way he can work a mic. But yeah,
you must be flossing. That's a great bit of analysis.
A lot more lately.
Do you rinse too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all of it with the toilet water.
Get the tartar rinse. Yeah, I just went to the dentist for the first time in 8 years a couple of weeks ago.
How many cavities?
Massachusetts. 0.
Wow.
So he's happy.
You're fucking buzzing right now. Do you want to talk more best on best?
You don't usually get cavities once you're older. Once you make a certain threshold, you don't get cavities.
I agree. I agree with that.
All right. When's the last time you got a cavity?
Oh, well, I mean, I got a root canal fucking 2 weeks ago, so I'll leave it at that. Actually, I did have another question, Biz.
When's your last cavity search? Last time
every time he goes to the airport.
I plead the fifth.
That's what I heard.
Every fucking time, man. The guy shows up with 50 milligrams of edible in him and wonders why he's getting a hand up his hoop.
He doesn't think he's on a list, yet he gets
Yeah.
like pretty much assaulted every time he flies.
He is the list.
Anyways, Booch, I know the Olympics coming up in a couple of years. The arena construction, I don't know, is it a point of concern the arena's not done? They're saying it might not be completed until like 6 to 8 weeks before they start. Is this a legitimate area concern or something that the league is concerned about? As far as the arena in Italy, it's not going to be finished until.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, I really haven't been dialed in on that, so I'm not sure. But that certainly would be nice. I mean, like I said, we need to get that back again. And it has to be a part of the rotation. I know it's tough to shut down your business. I get it. And right in the middle, that was always Brian Burke's contention. And they were in the Olympics was so shitty when it came to giving us video rights and things like that to help grow the game, grow the players. The IOC is the worst.
The worst.
The worst of the worst. And so I get at some point you can't give away your product. Yet it's so important for the Winter Olympics. We sell out those arenas. It's a huge revenue producer for the Olympic Games. So they really should work and get into the 21st century and make it worth the NHL's while to loan you these athletes for the benefit of you and for the profit of you.
So that I wanted to ask about that because I would say the one black eye that Bettman has on maybe his career is the lack of best on best, especially lately.
Yep.
I said it was more valuable for them to set up their own infrastructure from a best on best based on some of the things you just said, where the IOC and the Olympics isn't giving anything back to league yet. It's probably its most interesting product at the Winter Olympics. So would you agree? Would you agree that they would be better off, at least in the short term, trying to figure out their own thing rather than look to the Olympics, even when it comes to Italy?
Yeah, I mean, we had the World Cup. Was that 2015? Was 14 or 15? That was awesome. I was there. ESPN got that right in the middle of the NBC package. I mean, that was pretty cool for us to get those rights and go up and do those games. And I thought it was really good. That North American team really kind of stole the show, and that was really cool. I'm not sure why they didn't build off that. I'm sure it made money. Places were sold out. The tickets were expensive. The jerseys were bought. I'm not sure why they didn't build off that and continue that every 2-3 years. It's not that difficult. I think September is a great time to do it. I know, Whitman remembers the World Cup and what that was for USA hockey. It wasn't 1980, but that second World Cup with Mike Richter and Ned and Kachuk and Garrett, that was huge. Again, that's lighter fluid. And that was just a huge moment for hockey and the popularity of hockey in the 90s. And I don't know why we couldn't have built that off the last World Cup. But it obviously wasn't a point of emphasis.
Is there a storyline, maybe in each conference, or one that comes to mind when you're thinking of big time surprises after 28, 30 games teams have played?
Well, the one thing is kind of, as you know, the Ovi chase of Wayne to me is the biggest story in hockey these next 2 years, right?
That's because you created it like 9 years ago.
14 years ago, Whit. 14 years ago.
Was that when you first mentioned it?
This February, it'll be 14 years when I scaled out the article and I went back, I looked at it because I projected obviously all his goal totals up until the age of 40 because, playing to 40 is a very reasonable thing. So even now I look back and I have him scoring this was 14 years ago. I had him scoring 32 goals this year, which is about the best he's going to probably do. 28 next year and 27 the year after that. People were talking like he's going to keep scoring 40, 50 goals after last year, right? I figured at some point he's going to. So even if he just gets 32 this year, then 28 and 27, that's 914 goals. He's going to break the record by 20, just with 32, 28, 27. He's unlucky right now. Shooting percentage is down, but I just look at him. He looks disinterested. He looks real slow. And to me, it's more he's not fighting to get to a place. I watched Kucherov last night. That dude is sprinting to get in a shooting position. Oh, he leads the league in goals. What a shocker. Like, you got to work to get open. And always just at the bus stop, waiting for the one-timer. I call Ovi at the bus stop, straight-legged, just waiting for it. And maybe he's still trying to figure out his game. Maybe he's got a little injury. Maybe the new coach, he can be sensitive to a new coach. Maybe he's trying to figure it out. But so we'll see but again, there's a lot of players off to a slow start. He's got as many goals as Jamie Benn and Timo Meier, and he got more goals than Kachuk, than Brady Kachuk.
I think he needs a trip back to Russia, hit the old gas up. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, just a little multivitamin, he'll be fine.
That's what I'm saying. Just get the multivitamin, get him whatever Dahlman was taking. He'll be right back to business.
Whatever coach is on.
But I think the big story is the evenness of the league. The flat cap has made this sport so even right now. Usually you could see 6 teams win the cup. I wonder if we're up to 12 now. You can see 12 teams win the cup.
I agree.
Just because it's been so hard for Edmonton and McDavid. They've had a flat cap. So whenever guys are due, they got to give them away. Yamamoto, give them away. Costin, a real player, can't do anything with them. Just take them off our hands. They can't even get anything for them because guys are due raises and that cap has been staying the same. So it's made the league so tight.
What I mean, I this is tough putting you on the spot, but so we're going up 4.5-ish million next year, right around there.
Yeah.
Would you hope within 3 years, maybe 5 years, it'd be up, say, like 15 to 20 million from right now, or is that over kind of ranging it?
Well, you would need expansion in terms of creating more revenue in the pot, right, from 2 new teams, whatever Seattle and Las Vegas provided. You need the next TV deal is up soon, as Biz knows, not that soon. It's a 7-year deal, so we're still 4 more years to go. But 2 years out, maybe an extension. What are those rights fees going to be? It seems like sports might be going the other way now. Outside of football, that NASCAR didn't do as well as they thought. I think the NBA was expecting everybody to be at their feet. Looks like maybe that's not going to be as big as they thought. So it's interesting. You wonder if that tide will ever turn. We see that with streaming, the cord continues to be cut. The regional situation with some of these regional sports networks is TV and rights fees going the other way. So that's something I think if you're an NHL fan or you're buying NHL stock or certainly you're a player, that's an unknown. It's a big unknown.
I think it's going the other way. And that's why I think Cuban sold. I think he knows when to get off the pot.
He knows when to buy high. Yeah, he knows when to buy high.
Yeah. I think that the youth not watching games and watching highlights is the main factor in all of that. I think younger kids do not watch full games, no matter the sport. Maybe football's different. But highlights is what kids watch, and that is why it'll probably change where you see the packages in the morning, those viewership numbers going crazy, and the viewership of actual games until you get to the playoffs probably going down. I would still think come playoff time, a lot of people will be watching the NHL though.
Agree that it is. We aren't built for long regular seasons. No sports fan is. That's why football works so well. Once a week for 3 months, it's perfect. But baseball every day, hockey, all these games, I watch them all, but I know, like you said, the kids don't. And what happens when we need these kids, when these 18-year-old kids, when they turn 30 and we need them to buy a $150 ticket to go to a hockey game, are they going to do that? Are they still going to have that need that we had, that passion to drive to Hartford and go see a Whaler Bruin game, scrap up some money, park downtown, get to the game? That was like you had to do it. You had no choice. I don't know if these kids now, these 16 to 22-year-olds, they really want to drive and go see a game. Now, luckily, the women's audience has grown, and they are hockey fans, and they might help keep it going and keep it at least where it is. You want to at least stay like this. You just don't want to go down. Football is the only sport that seems to be growing, but golf seems to be in trouble. Some of these niche sports, you just wonder if it's just going to become more and more top heavy with salaries and teams and interest.
Booch, another issue with the TV, and I get Twitter comments all the time. I kind of been leading the drumbeat myself. We've seen changes with the RSNs, the regional sports networks, teams offering their own services now, like Vegas has. I think these blackouts, though, they just cut the league off at the knees. You're killing any customer support you could get. Are we going to ever see an end to blackouts or just some change? So a guy in Montana isn't blacked out from 7 different teams because he lives in Montana.
It's ridiculous. It really is. This is something that should be so easy to fix. You don't want to turn off customers, especially nowadays with all the competition that's out there. It makes little sense. I can't believe if anybody's going to go to a game, they're going to go to a game. The fact that a game is on TV, that's been going on for 50 years. If they want a night out and go to a game and have a dinner and have a couple of beers, they're going to do it. The game's on everywhere. It's on their screen. It's completely everywhere, omnipresent. And so there's a screen everywhere you go. So, yeah, they got to fix that right away. It's so easy. It's so, like you said, some of these are so implausible. I get you want to protect NESN for the people who get ESPN Plus. And, okay, I guess if you get ESPN Plus in Boston, you got to watch NESN. It's going to be blacked out. But even that, it's like, well, who cares where they watch it if they're watching? It's still NESN, still their commercials, still Jack Edwards. It's still, in-game commercials. Don't you want more eyeballs on that as much as you can get? So I would think, again, that's a part of some parts of the league is a little antiquated, and they need to really tighten that stuff up and really get it young and aggressive in those areas.
I was going to ask you about, of course, we talked about the growth of hockey in the U.S., and you've been on beating the college hockey drum for a long time. Now you have the responsibility of the NHL, but who are the teams you like? Why do you think the growth of college hockey has been so crazy, especially in the last, 4 or 5 years? I want to feel like it's doubled in size from a viewership perspective. Just what are your thoughts on where it's at in college hockey?
Well, again, when I was named Frozen Four dude back in 2012, part of my thing was going on Twitter and doing rankings and stuff, just because I wanted to make sure when I got to the Frozen Four, I knew the narrative of a season. I followed the season. So rankings make me do my homework every week. And so when I get there, I got a good idea of what's going on. That just felt like the athletes were sold short when we got to the Frozen Four. The announcers memorized 3 or 4 players. They didn't know the whole teams. They didn't know how they got there. So I wanted to give the sport the proper respect for the student athletes. So when mom and dad back in Hibbing, Minnesota, are watching their kid in an NCAA regional game, he's the 3rd defenseman or the 6th defenseman on the 3rd pair. He's going to hear his name said. I'm going to say his name. Everybody's getting their name said. That was my primary goal when I became the voice of the Frozen Four. Plus, it was hard to find games back then on TV. And it was hard to find games that were in high definition. I mean, first it was just standard def, it was crappy broadcast. And so slowly the Big Ten, I know hardcore college hockey fans hate the Big Ten. They felt like it ruined college hockey. It grew college hockey because they put games on. They put games on television. These big, high-profile teams with these great brands in the Midwest with these 60,000 people enrollments, students, 50, 60, 70,000 at Ohio State and all these big schools. And they forced Hockey East. They forced other conferences to put their games on television. Now you can watch ESPN Plus has every Boston College game, every BU game. You can watch Macklin Celebrini play every game. Will Smith play every game. Ryan Leonard play every game. Couldn't do that before. So that's why the game has grown. Media, and that's advertising. That's what we talk about RA, about not blacking out games. You're advertising your sport. You want eyeballs to see it. You want to make it easy, not difficult, because there's so many options nowadays. So that's a big reason why I think just the television aspect and the screen aspect of growing the game. And it's a great game right now. A third of the NHL comes from college. The Blue Bloods, the Blue Bloods are back again now. Boston College and Wisconsin and BU and Michigan State. Sparty's back. North Dakota's
Maine's
good again.
back.
Maine, how about Maine? They're number 7 on my Bucci Maine college hockey rankings. Michigan, Minnesota right now off to a bit of a slow start, but they could pop up anytime. So, and of course, Quinnipiac shows the growth of college hockey where they can win a national championship, which was unthinkable 10, 15 years ago. So you got 18 scholarships. Everybody gets 18 scholarships. Anybody can be good if they commit to it and get the right coach and get the right vision. And that's what Quinnipiac did.
Quinnipiac's like the kid with the chew in his back pocket playing against your 13-year-old. That's what I consider the Quinnipiac.
They have a 401k plan. Yeah, Quinnipiac, they have 401k plans and pensions by the time they win the Natty.
Exactly.
What's your favorite barn atmosphere?
I think Yost is still the best rink. What they did with Yost, how intimate. It's the old field house look. Even the old windows up there with the old field house. And that's just, and you're right on top of you. It's a old school Boston Garden vertical type of seating deal where they're right on top of you. Some of the newer barns actually are, and of course, North Dakota is a great barn as well. And Maine's another old school, old field barn, right? BU, it's kind of, it's just, you can see Sting in concert there and you can go see BU play hockey, but there's not a lot of character there. So, but as they built that next generation, Notre Dame was an awesome rink. Teams will copy off Notre Dame and build these small, intimate. I'm doing a game in Yukon actually on New Year's Eve with Andrew Raycroft, Yukon Hartford. So that's a real small 3,000 seat rink. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I haven't seen it yet.
What about Noah's Ark at Yale?
My son, Jack, played his last high school hockey game there, state semifinals in 2017. And that's a really cool place. Yeah, the upside down ship there and Noah's Ark. Good call. It's awesome. Yeah.
Our producer / college correspondent, Mike Granelli, wants to jump on. He's got a few rapid
here we got 5 questions for you. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I couldn't agree more about your Big Ten point. I think next up is the schools out west, the USCs, UCLAs, the Oregons. Then they go down south to the SEC, get Alabama, LSU, Clemson in the mix. I think that would be awesome. But I got 5 rapid questions for you.
Boom.
Best jersey in college hockey.
Well, I love this Sparty one they rolled out this weekend. It's like a cartoon logo. Tough to beat the cartoon logos. That's something right there. And I mean, when BC, there's a couple of theirs where that eagle was with the whites is really fresh. Although their font's too small and their numbers are too small. Sorry, Will.
Tough to pick against Maine too. Maine's got a nice one.
I like Maine's. That's mine.
Beautiful. Blue and blue. Yeah.
Best coach in college hockey.
Ooh, man, there's some definitely, you know, I was pushing for Jim Montgomery when he was at Denver, saying he could be in the NHL. Scott Stanley could coach in the NHL. Nate Lehman could coach in the NHL tomorrow. Rand Pecknold, again, he started in a broom closet in Quinnipiac, and he's been in 3 Frozen Fours in the last 3 championship games in the last 10 years. That takes vision and a message and an ability to connect with people. And he has it too. So yeah, again, just like
and a grandfather.
And a grandfather. There's too many players. There's too many coaches for coaching jobs in Division I hockey. I mean, there's so many qualified people.
Best player in college hockey. And I'll say this, I went and saw Cutter Gauthier the other night. He is NHL ready right now.
He's a man. He could have been playing for the Flyers this year. I'm glad he went back one more year and then play this March and then maybe play a couple American League games in April and then in the playoffs or something and then play for the Flyers next year. But I just look at, you know, and Will Smith looks like he's got a one-time or he can shoot it. But I just see Macklin Celebrini as a 17-year-old. What he's doing, he's going to be 17 the entire year. I just love how he plays the game with a recklessness and an aggressiveness. I see too many college kids think too much, maybe because the coach, they worry about playing time and they don't play kind of abandoned. The way he can play with speed and shoot it, I just love his spirit. He'll be the first pick in the draft next year. And I think he's a great chance for the Hobie this year.
Who would you compare that recklessness to? I felt like Taylor Hall maybe early on, and the way that he would go to the blue paint is maybe a comparison. I mean, I felt like McDavid, he would still go to the fucking blue paint hard.
That's why I look at McDavid. Just a guy who has that wide stance. He goes hard. He shoots. He plays fast. He can play really fast. Hate to compare anybody to McDavid because he could go down as the best ever in terms of skating. But yeah, I just love his confidence and swagger. He's been around professional sports his whole life. His dad works for the Golden State Warriors. So those guys have such an advantage. We see it with the Kachucks that you talked about. They have an advanced, so many of the little things, the nuances, they have such an advanced cerebral and mental game that if they have the physical stuff, they're ready to hit the ground running.
I just got 2 more. Next big school to get D1 hockey. I know you're a big club hockey guy. So what do you think?
Well, right before the pandemic, I had it from a great source that Illinois is going to make the announcement. Chicago's been a great hockey city with the Blackhawks. They've been there forever. There's Northwestern. That's a great hockey school, right? 18 scholarships. It produces revenue. You make money with college hockey because you sell out the barn at a decent price. And so I don't understand why Northwestern and Illinois don't have hockey yet. You mentioned the West. That's really, if we can ever get and really that, you know, the SEC has hockey now. It's just, you know, it's club hockey, but they pack rinks. They have a huge following. Again, I'm surprised they haven't jumped on that bandwagon as well because it pays for itself. It does produce revenue, unlike so many college sports who don't. And football basically pays for the whole thing.
And last one here. What is the best tradition in college hockey? As you know, it's a very tradition heavy sport.
Yeah, it is. Well, what's that? What fish do they throw out on UNH? Is that a striped bass they throw out there on the ice? I know they throw a big fish up and
cod
at UNH. I don't know if it's a cod or not. It does look like a cod, but it could be a cod. I love cod, as you know. So that's
it's RA's goldfish.
It's a 3-eyed fish from a river in New Hampshire near Springfield that stays there all year round.
Springfield power plant.
Dump the Porta Johns right into the river and you get 3-eyed fish.
Hey, one thing I love about you, Booch, is you're not shy to throw out the random trade proposal.
Love it.
Like you're a bit chaotic with it, and you get the fan bases going. So I think your latest one was Allmark for RNH, or one of your bigger ones.
Well, I actually had Allmark. It wasn't RNH; it was somebody else. But definitely when the Bruins had cap issues and Allmark coming off his season, that's not a better time to trade him, right? And I forget who it was. I think it was it wasn't him. I forget who it was. But actually, I was thinking about this today. Can you imagine, like, just from a stock? These players are stocks. Like Marchand to Toronto, okay, for Nylander. Ugh. And I think I try to make it bigger because if there's one guy Toronto needs, it's Marchand, right? 5 years from now, Marchand is not going to be in the NHL, and Nylander is going to still be pumping in 100 points, right? So in terms of long term, it makes sense for the Bruins and Maple Leafs to do something to give Toronto. But the problem is the Bruins can still get to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. Like, they have that kind of team, so you wouldn't do it. But just because they're in the age of Marchand, what kind of player he is, what Toronto needs. Can you imagine Brad Marchand in Toronto? That would take over the league.
I don't think he would ever put on another jersey.
I don't. Yeah, and again, and I'm sure he can just retire.
He's going to play and score in the first game 6 years from now and motherfuck you in the post-game press conference.
Oh, yeah, he's going to have the clipping.
This is all because of John Buccigross. 5 years ago said I'd be out of the league.
Oh, speaking of Nylander, or was it Nylander you said? You said him to the Blackhawks. You think that's going to happen or potentially?
He's going to a big American city. He's going to sign probably either LA or New York. Those are like
Suck it, Biz.
Yeah, he's not resigning.
Don't fucking break my heart.
He's
that the Caps go.
Sorry.
No, he's not. It's $4.5 million. The Caps
he seems very sure of himself, Biz. I'd be panicked.
Have you been talking to his old man or something?
You can't have 4 guys making $12 million, Biz.
Thank you, Bucci. Thank you.
I mean, you already have 3 guys making $12
That's why
million.
I'd trade Marner.
That's what I would do. I would keep Nylander.
Yes.
Trade Marner.
I'm going to see if Tree can make it work.
My Allmark trade was a bigger trade. It was like Allmark, DeBrusk, Patra, and a number 1 for Leon.
Yeah,
that was a trade.
That's what it was.
Whew.
Like, I mean, something to think
and
about,
Edmonton
right?
people were, no. I think
And
Bruins
Edmonton have
fans
to
would
throw in Fogle because just for the cap purposes, because he's 3.7 and like he's close. But Fogel's like a poor man's DeBrusk. Fogel's actually flying right now. Like Duke can skate.
Yeah, he's
and
playing well.
And DeBrusk isn't scoring. They're actually close to even. But DeBrusk, that was like an interesting because Patra's stock will never be higher. The Bruins thinks he's like a Hall of Famer. He's the next guy, right? So maybe some other GM will think that too. But that was when they were struggling. That's what.
No, I love it. Am I crazy here? Or we not brought up the ESPN Frozen Frenzy yet?
We haven't yet.
My God!
What a night!
Holy
everywhere
shit!
I go this year when I do games, at least one person says that Frozen Frenzy was awesome. It's like the biggest reaction I've gotten in my 27 years at ESPN.
That's awesome.
Was
nice.
That when I wrote the column back in the day when Whit came up to me in Florida and said,
"Oh, what a call!" Hey, I don't understand why you don't. I guess you're very busy, but that column once every 2 weeks, or
it was every week. Yeah, it was.
No,
fun.
I'm saying if you brought it back now, that was he did a great job. But
anyway, the Frozen Frenzy has been.
Yes.
That was amazing. Like I said, just the goodwill. ESPN's not used to getting goodwill. So for people to say that, how much they loved it. And again, I was skeptical going. I don't think it's going to be as good as people think. They're really excited about this. Well, I mean, we go to a game, nothing could happen. It's not like red zone. You get in the red zone, something's going to happen. Either a team's going to score or a team's going to stop them, right? One or the other. We're like, if I go somewhere, what if nothing happens for 5 minutes? But man, I knew going in because we went on the air at 7. And it was like 10 o'clock and it felt like 15 minutes. When you're doing TV and it goes fast, that's good TV. You think you just started. You were there for 3 hours because it just didn't stop. So I was pumped. The league was pumped. They were there. And it went well. And my sources tell me we're going to do another one this year.
Fucking right, Spooch.
So I was wondering if going into next year, because the next one will be a huge hit as well.
Yep.
Once a month, I realize too much, but what about 4 a year? Or is it actually really hard to do?
No, I like you said, as long as you need 12, you don't have to have 15. Not everybody has to play. It was nice that night everybody played and they staggered the starts. You kind of need that help from the league too. So like you said, 4 nights a year.
Why aren't they doing that anyways, Bucci?
Well, because it pisses off the owners. They know, hey, my game needs to start at 7. I owe it to my season ticket holder. That's when I get the most fans, which is when I drink the most beer. So I get it. They want their game, but like you said, 4 nights a year, can you just kind of sacrifice and start your game at 6 and then start your game at maybe 8:30? You don't want to get as East Coast games starting much more past 8:30, maybe 8, and then help your West Coast. You could do that because that made it. If we don't get staggered starts, it doesn't work.
Maybe they could work it out to where they kind of make it a Frozen Frenzy, but maybe do it more than once or four times a year with. But they do similar to that tournament they did with the NBA to garner that interest where people won't really care about having to show up an hour earlier if it's this like fancier game where I don't know if you paint the boards a certain color or make the graphics on the boards different, you make the jerseys different and kind of make it as this all-in season tournament throughout the year. That doesn't add games. That doesn't add games.
I'd rather a best on best though instead of the All-Star game, right? Or you're saying just keep the schedule as it is, just like the NBA.
As it is, because I'm looking at what the NBA did, and I don't give a fuck about the NBA, but every time I watched the television, they had a funky court. I just found my eyes more drawn in. I cared more about the game. I can't tell you why, but neurologically, they got me. I don't know if I wasn't flossing as much those days. I don't know what the answer is, Booch, but they're selling more tickets, they're selling more jerseys, and they're getting the players more invested emotionally because of the Uber tip you talked about.
And maybe that's what you could do with that expansion money we talked about. Just create a pot where players get $100,000 a player if they on the winning team. But you're right. You could do an in-season thing with the Frozen Frenzy as a way to do that and create some sort of, I don't know how many. Again, I thought the in-season NBA thing was a bit confusing. I didn't feel. I watched a little bit of the game, the championship game, Indiana and LA. I didn't feel that playoff tension. And the post celebration was a little muted. It was okay. Again, these things need time to grow. But at least they gave it a shot, right? I'm all for trying things. If it doesn't work, just like rules, just try it. If it doesn't work, then change it. Like with the shootout, let's go to 7 minutes, or let's go 3-on-2. On
let's
power
talk
plays.
about this.
Let's go 3-on-2 for power plays. Let's try something. If it doesn't work, it's like, oh boy, let's change it back. You can change it mid-season if you realize after a month 3-on-2 is a joke. But it'd be pretty cool to see people play 3-on-2 out there.
I agree.
Do you agree or disagree with my take that they should ban offside reviews and go back to old school? Guys make huge mistakes, but they also get lucky. You get unlucky. It's just the game. And it doesn't
agree.
take away from the... Yes, you do?
I agree. And I would just make it like they do now, 60 seconds to go and overtime. There's no coaches' challenges, right? It's all league mandated. So, yeah, minute to go. Someone is 30 feet offsides, which happened in San Jose, right? That's what started.
Or say even 3 minutes to go. It's 3 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, or 5, right? Last TV timeout. After the last, maybe. But, again, with gambling now and with all these sports buying in, if everything isn't, every single second isn't dissected into being just and fair, and some guy who put money on the game, can he sue somebody? Or that linesman's in the tank, he just pocketed some, that's what stinks about all the gambling stuff, is that that's why these leagues are over the top on getting it right.
Outside of maybe the offside review, is there one rule that you would like to change? I mean, you just mentioned to take out the shootout, longer 3-on-3. Is there one like major rule change?
Not really. I think the league's real and great. I don't like the fact that automatic when you flick the puck over the glass, because a guy it just can be brutal for a guy for that happens. So unfair. College, it's still the old rule where it's on purpose. They call you. If not, and they never call it, because the guy very rarely does it on purpose. I think Chelly's the only guy who ever did it on purpose back in the day. He'd throw a 100-foot wrist shot right over the side of the glass. You can kind of tell then, right? If it goes backwards and over, pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But anytime you try to chip it high off the glass, that's a tough break. But again, it does make it easy, and we want, and the power plays, and you got a chance to score. But yeah, overall, I like the game. Maybe 3-on-3. You can try pond hockey and just have no offsides and icings. Just play pond hockey. Give it a shot. I'd like to see the American League try that for maybe a month, a trial run in the American League to see how that works. That's what they did. That's where the great spot for the American League. That's where they did 3-on-3. They realized, well, this is good. And so maybe that. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a great game. It looks great. It's fast. And I don't think it's ever been better.
Booch, the Champions League over in Europe, they made some interesting changes. A penalty will still be served even if a goal is scored on the delayed penalty call. The penalized team will remain shorthanded even if the opponent scores, like the NHL used to do before the Canadians changed the rule. And if a penalized team scores a shorthanded goal, the penalty ends. Do you think we would ever see anything like this in the NHL in the next several years?
I guess possible. But college, if there's a delayed penalty and you score, guy still goes to the box. I think it's really cool. It's a chance to get 2 quick goals, right? You're down 3-1, bam, delayed penalty, goal, and they go in the power play. That just creates excitement. We're in the entertainment excitement business. Anything that builds that drama, we would totally do. And have a little bonus like that. Yeah, you score a shorty, your guy comes out. That's pretty cool. Would teams try? I don't think they're going to try to score more goals, because they're going to. The first job is to kill the penalty. It would just be kind of a bonus, I guess. And if a guy elbows a guy, he should probably serve the full 2 minutes, right? Maybe there's those kinds of penalties there that they wouldn't come out. But again, you could always, obviously a major, you probably wouldn't have that rule. If you score a shorty, he comes out. That probably wouldn't take place there. But yeah, I'm up for anything like that. I like to try things. We could always change it back.
Nice. What's your go-to bourbon? I know you mentioned bourbon earlier.
Good ones. I always say good ones.
Okay.
I don't have to. You don't have to spend a lot of money for a good bourbon. Buffalo Trace, Elijah Craig's that's like my favorite bourbon. It's like $30 at Luke's up the street here in Manomet. It's not expensive. But Angel's Envy, Basil Hayden. I like kind of a mid-90s, upper 90s proof, preferably a wheated bourbon. And I went to Buffalo Trace after the draft in Nashville. I went down to one of those bourbon trails, Buffalo Trace. It was one of the best days of my life. It was just the coolest, most interesting. There's history, there's bourbon, there's tasting. It was an amazing day. If you're into bourbon and you have another bourbon trail thing yet around Nashville, and there's a bunch of them, I highly recommend it. It was one of my favorite days. It was absolutely A+.
That's awesome.
And Redbreast 12. Have you had Redbreast 12 yet, R.A.?
No, I haven't. I just kind of got into Scotch. PJ Stock sort of twisted my hand.
It's an Irish whiskey. Now, I grew up with Irish Mist. That stuff was rancid. That's like straight turpentine. But these Irish whiskeys, they've really improved them. And Redbreast 12, it comes in a red box, and it's unbelievably smooth. I highly recommend. And it's a great gift. If you want to get a gift for somebody, like a thank you, and they like to drink, it's a phenomenal thank you gift.
Well, you mentioned the Irish. Obviously, I know you have South Boston and Dorchester roots. Were you a big Pogues guy? I know we lost Shane McGowan recently. A tremendous funeral the other day. I'm sure you caught it. What was your take on the Pogues?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, mom and dad grew up in Southie, so I grew up with heavily. Dad was Italian, so I kind of he was the only Italian in South Boston growing up in the 40s. So he got his ass kicked every time.
A lot of fights.
If you were an Irish, they didn't like it. But my mom, Mary Donovan, so I have a lot of I got both sides of the tracks. But yeah, so all that Irish influence is really cool. I was going back and forth on Twitter today. People, you call it soda or do you call it pop? I go, on South Boston in the 80s and 90s, they called it tonic.
Tonic,
you
right?
Want a tonic? You want a tonic? And then it wasn't a hoagie or a sub. It was a spucky.
Spucky and
John,
salty,
you want a spucky? You want a tonic and a spucky, John? Spucky and tonic? Let's go,
kid. In the head.
Let's go, kid. Go catch some stripers.
That's awesome.
Spucky and a tonic.
Keep going.
No, I was just going to say, what games do you have coming up that you're excited? I mean, I'm sure you love doing play-by-play no matter what, but any big-time matchups?
That's when I feel most alive. I just love it, being at the rink. I love it. And then going afterwards, have a nice little glass of brown with Ferraro or whoever I'm with. Ryan Callahan. He likes to go hard with me, so we have a good time. But I got Edmonton. I got Edmonton and Bedard. I'm really looking forward to that on Tuesday. And then I got Edmonton against the Islanders the following Tuesday. I got my first OV versus Crosby game, January 2nd in Pittsburgh. Nice. I was born in downtown Pittsburgh. So to do an NHL game there is going to be a big deal to me. Got my first Bruin game in Boston. When I was a kid, I would listen to Bruins games on the radio with my dad growing up in Pennsylvania and Ohio, not Ontario biz. And I would listen to Bob Wilson on Bruins radio. So to do an NHL game in Boston, and that's against McDavid and Edmonton too. I've gotten 6 Edmonton games this year. So every game to me is like I won a contest. It's just, I feel so alive. I love the rhythm of doing a game, coming down because I'm so intense and kind of have that empty feeling you get after a vacation or after a game, and then building up for the next game, watching every Blackhawk and Oiler game until I do my game, and then shift into the Islanders and this. And I got the Capitals in a month, so I better watch that game now. Where's Faravari? Oh, there he is, 47. You want to be in tune because we know most of the people watching are fans of those two teams. That's most of them. We got some other ones. So you want to be able to speak to those fans and respect their team, understand who's going, what the season's been like, and then offer maybe. And that's the cool thing about us. We can be more critical because obviously a lot of these broadcasters, they're employed by the team.
Oh yeah, they don't like that.
They got to send the PR. No, they got to send the PR message out. So I like for us being able to be more critical. I enjoy being that free agent broadcasting a game.
I love it. Yeah, they go hardcore. Some of these fans, I was commenting on the Larkin situation with Joseph and Kelly, and I just gave my opinion on it. And I didn't
Wings
think
fans are animals.
Oh man, I
didn't realize Wings Twitter. I love them,
dude. I'm going to have to fucking go on. Witness
it's the
protection.
Most emotional game there. It's the most emotional game there is. That's why we have violent things that happen on the ice with the players. It's why coaches get in arguments. It's why fans are the way they are. There's no sport that produces that absolute visceral animal quality in human beings than hockey. It's just, and that it goes with it. So you have to accept it. And you do a great job, Biz, as you take it. You don't take it personal, which is how you have to do it.
Well, sometimes maybe.
We want
passion.
Even
when they call him a big-nosed piece of shit scumbag, he's like, that wasn't meant towards me.
That's why we have jobs. That passion is why we have paychecks.
I love
doing what we do.
Oh, I love them.
Never squelch that. Never put that down.
Who was your preseason cup pick, and would you switch it now? I don't know who it was.
He's been stroking the Kings.
It was Colorado. I thought that Landeskog would eventually come back. I thought they'd get their hunger back a long summer. They still have Makar, McKinnon in their prime. Rantanen's a Hall of Famer for sure, another Hall of Fame player. And then, but as it turns out, losing Kadri has been a huge thing. They haven't replaced Kadri. You got to have that secondary center. Almost 3 of them, right?
They miss Comfort too.
JT Comfort's a guy they're going to miss him down the middle as well come playoff time. So that's why I like Detroit so much is they have 4 centers and they have a sniper on every line too, right? DeBrincat, Perron, and even Sprong on that 4th line. He can finish from 30 feet away. So we have 4 centers and 1 sniper on each line. I'm just worried about their D a little bit. I'm sure if Detroit has a playoff D, I'm sure Stevie's going to try to figure that out and come trade deadline time. But yeah, Colorado.
Watch for Edvinson as the season goes along.
Well, they're going right now. I'm telling you that. Like I said, McDavid is once again extraterrestrial, and maybe that downtime is what they needed. And they're going to make a couple more moves. They're going to trade their number 1 pick. They're going to make one more good move, whether it's a little more dynamic D-man who can help with the skating, or a guy in the 3rd line who can pop in, 25, 30. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be great for the sport. But, yeah, I had Colorado before the season, and so we'll see what they do. We'll see if, the new GM can be as aggressive as Joe Sakic and pull off some of these miracle trades because they need to do something.
Great points about Edmonton. It crushes my heart to hear it. But I actually said Edvinson, a guy in the minors for Detroit as a defenseman. Detroit. So he could get a look. Dude. He's playing awesome in the minors. So maybe that guy's an option to come up. But
again,
Edvinson,
2021. 2021. We'll see. But I think Stevie will do something. He's got some room. And that team's got a lot of stuff. I still don't think, again, they're part of that salary. We've talked about the league being even. You can win any night and lose any night. There's just not that much difference, right? Every game. There just really isn't. The league is so even.
Bush, I thought it was important to bring up Barry Melrose and the fact that, he's stepped away and you've been able to work with him and just maybe reflecting on your time working with him and maybe one of your best Barry Melrose stories. I'm sure there's a ton of them. And everything I hear about the guy, he just was salt of the earth, unbelievable human being.
No, just awful. Just really a tragedy for a guy that quick-witted back in the day. There's no one had a quicker wit than Barry Melrose. Obviously, playing 300 games in the league and all those minor leagues and coaching, you learn, as you boys know, in the room. You better get your brain sharp because you're going to get some stuff and you got to be able to give it back. You got to be able to take it, and if you're going to try to come back with a one-liner, it can't fall flat, or the boys lose all respect for you. Know your role, and so for Barry to bring that quick wit. +2 handicap wit to ESPN, and then bring it on television just was amazing. So of all things, to get Parkinson's, that he was diagnosed a couple years ago, he's worked these last couple of years after the diagnosis. We always try to put him in a position to win. There's no one who was nicer to the public, took every picture, signed every autograph. We'd walk into a restaurant, always with a jacket, those boots and those jeans. And we'd walk across these steakhouses, the finest steakhouses in all the land, and everybody would stop and look. Every man, every woman, every guy wanted to be him. Every woman wanted to be with him. just to be in his wake when the whole restaurant goes like this. Like even the people who didn't know him, they're like, "That's somebody." I don't know who that is. Now some people didn't know who he was, but the people who did, like, that is somebody. And so just to be around that, and then again in college, helping him out doing the college because he had to follow the NHL Tonight, just like kind of the big brother to me. And just to be around him was just just the best. So yeah, it just makes me sad of all people to see that disease, which takes away your mind slowly. But I got a game in Tampa in mid-January, so I'm hoping to have dinner with him and his wife, Cindy. I checked on the other day. I checked with her first, and good days and bad days, right? Like we expect. We just hope it's a slow process and that he can really enjoy. He's a young man, right? He's in mid-60s. He could have done this for 10 more years. He got grandkids who he adores. So down there in St. Petersburg, Florida. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing him in a month. But thanks, Biz, for saying that. Charles Barkley called him the best analyst on TV back in the day. And I know Barry got a big kick out of that because Charles is a big ESPN watcher and a hockey fan as well. So yeah, we miss him and it's not the same. And it's sad. You can't say anything other than that. You can't be fake and say it's not sad because it's sad.
Well, hell of a tribute to your friend.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable.
Thank you, very well said, boys. Did you have any other stuff you want to ask? Any other items?
That was a great way to go out. Great hour, Booch. We appreciate your time and love your insight, man.
And just one more thing, it's kind of funny when we talk about the checking issue. It's just so funny how hockey, right? How self-deprecating. I don't know what it is, but the fact that we called our kids the different divisions mite, squirt, peewee, bantam, and midget. Like, what were we doing? What were we trying to tell these kids? Like any other sport, like basketball or football, like the mites would be shorties, right? Squirt, there would be, you're the little kings. Pee-wee, you're ballers. Bantams, you're dogs, right? We're calling them midgets and Pee-wee and Squirt.
Squirty.
Let's build up our kids.
Yeah.
Squirt.
The flight attendant. Oh, she's back. Oh, she's back. Oh my God. But
Thank you so much. That was
but
great.
also loved your perspective on it, and it's made me change my thinking a little bit because you've had a kid who's been through it. So I appreciate your
there's
insight.
a happy medium.
I love it.
There's a happy medium for sure.
I'm sorry we didn't ask you about. I'm sorry we didn't
Buy
ask you
some
about.
swag, please.
I'm sorry we didn't ask you about any chicky poos like we did Del Zotto, but maybe we'll save that for the next one.
Okay. Send me a text, Biz. We'll talk about it there.
Okay, deal. That's awesome.
Thanks so much, Booch.
Thanks,
This is awesome. Okay, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends over at Stacker 2 Energy. Loud, aggressive, and straight out of the Attitude Era, Stacker 2 is an OG in the energy and supplement space. Stacker 2 chew gummies have more caffeine than other energy gummies while being small in size and price. Stacker 2 chew gummies and energy shots are designed to give you maximum energy while still tasting amazing. Stacker 2 is teaming up with us at Barstool for a chance to come to the New York City office, meet the team, sit in on a recording of Barstool Radio, and go home with some Barstool merch. Simply go to stacker2.com/Barstool, and that's the number 2. Make a purchase online, take a screenshot of your receipt, and tweet us the photo with the hashtag BiteBack for a chance to win. To enter, simply go to stacker2.com/Barstool. Again, that's the number 2. Make a purchase online, take a screenshot of your receipt, and tweet us the photo with the hashtag BiteBack for a chance to win. Big thanks for Bucci to jumping on with us. Always a great chat talking hockey with him. Speaking of skilled guys, we talked about McDavid earlier, dude. I guess the NHL consulted him as far as the skills competition this year. They're going to be doing some things different. They're only going to have 12 guys in the skills competition, variety of events, but there's $1 million fucking purse this year with. That's pretty wild, huh? These guys are going to be pretty competitive. About time they did this.
I absolutely love this. And last year was kind of like the final straw, I think, for a lot of fans. And I understand they were trying to just make it interesting and kind of crazy in Florida with the dunk tank. And I think Brady Tkachuk was sitting in a beach chair. But it was kind of a clown show, in my opinion. It was a little bit like, what are we doing? And now, all of a sudden, you decide to pick 12 guys, and boom, you got the 8 events, you got a money prize, everyone's going on. I mean, $1 million, dude, that's legit. And so now guys are going to be all into it. They're going to be doing whatever they can. And I think it just creates like some competitiveness, which is exactly what All-Star Weekends lacked. I know that it's a really hard thing to get guys to care. It's a physical, long season, so you get this break and you just want to chill, chuck some sauce, and enjoy the weekend. But now, at least Friday night before the game, I mean, it's going to be action-packed. You're going to see the best players in the world doing some pretty incredible skills. I believe the last one, I think they said maybe, I might be messing this up, like the top 8 after the first few events will go into one final event that'll have all in one. So you'll see the best players having to do some pretty incredible things, playing for a big prize. And I think it's going to be honestly must-watch TV, considering what the past few years and the All-Star games turned into. So I can't wait for that. And I think it's a dynamite move by the league.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't what do the other players do? Just sit around with their fucking thumb up their ass? Like, it's just so bizarre. Only 12 guys. So they fly out there and then like those other guys maybe get like a couple 3-on-3 games. Like, I don't know. It's just, that's like the only thing. And then apparently the players that are selected this year, they won't play next year in that skills competition. So it's like you get this year and then you don't get next year. And like, how do you... Yeah, so it basically goes. It's like I think the league ends up picking about 8 guys, and then there are or maybe what's the number of 12 guys that end up being voted in? No, but 12. There's some get voted in, and then some are picked by the league.
Yeah, the first 8 players. I'm sorry, Biz. First 8 players determined by Hockey Ops Department and the NHLPA, and the fans voted in the Final 4. So
I'm guessing they're hoping that so is Draisaitl not going to get voted in? Or not get picked, and then they have to hope that he gets voted in, where maybe there's other markets. So what if you have 12 guys and Draisaitl's not one of the 12 guys?
I see. I don't think that's that big of a deal, because whoever the 12 guys are going to be superstars, dude. So like if you don't have Leon, like it's not the end of the world. I mean, you're going to have all these incredible players. And then if you don't have Leon, then next year you have them. So I think, and in terms of guys flying out there not doing anything for skills, I don't really think they care, because part of it was like guys had to do stuff they didn't want to do. Everyone had to do something, and then you'd be the guy stuck doing the.
You don't think flying there and the chance to win $1 million would be enticing to them?
No, what do you mean? Obviously, you want to be picked, but if you're not picked, you're still in the All-Star game the next day. You still get to have the front row seat on the bench. You're in your uniform. You're an All-Star for the weekend, and you get to watch 12 studs battling it out. If you don't get picked, it's like you're still an All-Star.
Yeah, I think it would have been wiser to maybe have the whole group of players at least do the first amount of events and then drop it off based on the skill set and the points that you've accumulated, and then narrow it down. I just think that that's a lot of guys just sitting around and not being able to participate, where that's the whole point of them traveling and not getting to go on vacation and sip pina coladas.
Maybe they'll be able to do more stuff in the community with the fans, like on the concourses, and be able to be a little bit more interactive.
I'm sure guys will love that.
Tricycle serving hot dogs.
Hey, Leon, you can't do hardest shot.
Hey, Sid, pass me another beer.
You can actually go upstairs and sign autographs for 2.5 hours, so have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Hughes, can you please put this Devil's costume on? The mascot couldn't make it, so we're going to need you to entertain the fans up top on the concourse.
Hey, oh my God. Hey, why don't you go fill up some Gatorade for the guys that are competing for $1 million and shut your mouth.
Exactly. Hey, you laugh, but that's basically what the fuck they're doing.
I know, but I also think it's in Toronto. That night, guys are going to be ripping it up, and they get to play in the game. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I think for the fans who want to see something competitive, I think it's a good thing, and I think it'll end up being pretty exciting, that final event. Somebody skating and shooting for $1 million.
I guess I'll say this. I love it, but also hate it at the same time.
All right. You got to elaborate. What do you love? What do you hate?
I think
I just explained it. I just literally explained it the last 3 minutes. Where the fuck have you been?
He literally just said for like 4 minutes what he doesn't like about it.
Because I would be the guy left out. I'm the guy not getting picked. So I'm standing up for the plugs at the All-Star game.
But you wouldn't be in the All-Star game to begin with.
I know.
Hey, Austin, come here. Come here for a sec, Austin. Can I get $100 worth of those 50-50s that you're selling?
Oh, there's not a chicken dick. Okay, so that's the thing too. Like, so basically, Marner and Nylander, is my assumption, will have to get voted in, because Leafs fans will be flocking online. So there's going to be some big dogs that are showing up that aren't going to be able to participate. And if Whit, I mean, now that you're kind of off the wagon, could you imagine Leon having to sit there and watch? that guy wants to be fucking competing.
I understand,
he wants to be out there.
But if the league didn't pick you, and then you have all these fan bases get to vote in, like, tough shit, dude.
No,
I mean, I don't know. Hold on, Biz. What don't you like about it?
Adjust on the fly. 12 guys, 8 events, $1 million. We'll see who wins it. We will be there. Can't wait to get there. But we got to talk about the Predators, boys. This team looked dead in the water about a month ago. Started out, 5-10. They've gone on a 13-3 run since. I put it all on UC Saros, man. Tremendous goalie. Had like an .892 save percentage through his first 14 games. He's up to .912 now. He's just been incredible. He's got a 6-game winning streak. He's only given up 9 goals. Ryan O'Reilly playing that 2-way game that he's been famous for. They just got a real good blend right now of veterans and some young guys they've called up. What's his name? Tomasino, the kid. What's his name? Novak. He's like 26, but he's only been in the league for a couple of years. And we mentioned that trade to get Forsberg a couple of years ago. They gave up Erat and Michael Latta, and they brought Forsberg, 40-goal scorer. He's signed for another 6 years at $8.5 million. Tremendous move right there. But I don't know. And the Preds back from the dead, looking good. Do you watch them much? You were able to see a lot of their games.
I haven't seen a lot of their games, but you said it off the hop. It's Saros just turning everything around. Tough start. All we ever mention about teams struggling is, for the most part, usually the goaltending isn't great, and it's unfair to put it on them, but that's the position they played, like quarterback, and all of a sudden Saros gets going and the team gets going. And that's kind of been the story with this team for a while now, is this guy's a stud, and once he starts kicking, they're really hard to beat. I think that Andrew Brunette is an awesome coach.
Yes.
I think he kind of got screwed in Florida, and that's worked out great for Florida because Paul Maurice is awesome. He's been doing it it forever, but you've seen what's happened with the Devils in losing Brunette, right? They definitely miss having him on the bench. He went in there. The team didn't start off great. Little bit of a disaster to get going. The goaltending switches things around, and Forsberg catches fire. I mean, that trade, that was like 11 years ago. And I totally understand. Washington's trying to win a cup. It's Ovechkin's prime, and they haven't won one yet, and they're just trying to add something. But, man, I don't think Washington realized at the time what they were going to have in the future. This is a big, powerful dude, strong as an ox, skates like the wind. His shot's ridiculous. You've seen he scored some ridiculous of those Michigan goals. His skill level is top notch. And this year, it seems like he's taken an even bigger step where he's carrying the puck pretty much wherever he wants. He's so big and fast and smooth that it's just hard to get it away from him. So you have him, you have a phenomenal goaltender, and you have a superstar in Roman Josi, okay? And I think those three, right? You get the forward, D, and goalie. And it's the same thing with Dallas, how we talk about what they have with Ottinger and Heiskanen and Robertson and even a bunch of others up front in Dallas. And you look at that core, and that's why they're going now. But Ryan McDonough is another reason that you can look to this team, like switching things around. And obviously offensively, he's not really counted on or needs to do that much, but it's like the leadership factor. And like every night, guys looking like, oh, McDonough blocked 3 more shots. Oh, he played 23 minutes again, a bunch on the PK. And he's just a horse. He's working out, and you just see what it's like to be, you see a Stanley Cup winner, like preparing for every game, practicing as hard as that guy does, putting his body on the line. And so there's a lot of like older guys really leading the way for that team. So it makes sense that you got younger guys stepping in. Also, this Gus Nyquist, people kind of wrote him off, right? He's in Columbus. He had that great run in Detroit, but he's played really well. That was an under-the-radar signing that's had a really good impact in Nashville. So it's a good head coach. He's kind of figured out the team he has. The goaltender's figured it out. Superstar on D that's always going to be producing around a point per game, which is wild to say. And then other guys that are kind of buying in. And the final thing I'll say is an unreal home crowd. I haven't even looked at their home record. Maybe it's not even that good, but playing in that place stinks. It's tough. It's loud. Country music bumping. And so I love when they're good because it seems like when they are on TV. I mean, Biz, you mentioned you watched the...
Guys, I got some breaking news. It's big. According to Frank Saravilli, the Senators have fired head coach DJ Smith.
He's done.
Wow. Holy fuck.
It makes sense.
It's Berube. It's got to be Berube.
It's got to be. It makes sense, and it's one of those things where Ottawa, everyone's talked about how they just want to get things in order, and they want to have stability, and they want to have guys be able to like finally have the same coach. But at some point, it's complacency, Biz. Like they're so bad that they had to.
Yeah. No, this was I thought that Berube was probably going to take the rest of the year off, but they obviously haven't announced who they're going to hire as head coach. This makes way too much sense to bring him in. I think they shot themselves in the foot a bit, Jesus Christ. Shot themselves in the foot a bit by saying that they wanted the stability and that they were going to keep him around. So just a lot of moving pieces right now in Ottawa, but I think at a certain point it was time to pull the trigger, and it sucks because you could tell that the guys liked them too. It just it couldn't work out, and sometimes being a player's coach can come back and bite you in the ass, where you need to be a little bit harder on players, especially at the way that they've been playing.
So Jacques Martin has been named the interim coach.
Wow.
Daniel Alfredson will join his coaching staff.
So while
maybe we're wrong.
Martin came in and RA, you said that. You're like, is that kind of tough? Is that like a sign right then for DJ Smith that things are getting hotter and hotter on his seat? And turned out that was the case. Now, the final nail in the straw was Sunday night. I mean, Vegas just owned them. Vegas put a beat down on them. They've just struggled so much, but Martin back behind the bench, dude. That's crazy.
That's a blast from the past. To just go back to Nashville. I mean, I don't know if we mentioned Colton Sisson's name. He's got 10 goals on the year, man. That contract, I think they got him signed at 8 years at like $2 million a year. It's like it was a joke of a deal as far as how much of a bargain it was. And one thing that I don't think that Nashville's used to is getting goal scoring on a regular basis. Right now, they're 10th in the league at goals for, where normally they're relying on their defense and their goaltending, where it seems to be a well-balanced attack overall, and it all goes back to coaching. I think Andrew Brunette was an unreal coach. He was great in Florida, as you mentioned. I think it sucks that New Jersey had to kind of not they couldn't bring him in. I know they had Lindy and they ended up locking Lindy in, but I thought that he was probably the coach of the future for them. And, it looks like Nashville's got their guy. So you guys pretty much touched on everything else. Power play's humming at a decent rate. They're over 20%. So it's been a pleasant surprise there in Nashville, all right. I believe you had them making playoffs, didn't you?
I think, but I can't. I'd have to cite tweets about it. Man, I can't remember.
Probably the only one because I didn't believe in them.
But not often, like you said, Biz, it's been like defensive and being solid in your own end. But like that game Saturday night against Carolina was incredible.
Well, that has probably a lot to do with Ronta playing net, and unfortunately he's been sent down, or I think he cleared waivers, so he's going to be down
Chicago now.
Oof, tough sledding for him.
Quickly about Ottawa. My last thing. I don't know if you guys saw how mad Brady Tkachuk was at what's the goalie's name? Peter Kochetkov?
Yeah.
He went to poke check him during Tkachuk's penalty shot late in the third. Game was over. It was 4-1, maybe 2 minutes left. And he went out for the poke check, and Tkachuk was pissed off. He went flying into the boards. And I don't really I guess he's just going for the poke check. He doesn't plan on that could somehow injure him. But Tkachuk was pissed off, and Kachekhov's like, yeah, come at me. I don't know if you saw Brady Tkachuk fight that Tucker in St. Louis.
Oh.
He would punch your eyes shut, Kochetkov. So I don't know if you want to be like, yeah, bring it on, buddy, bring it on. Like Brady's fuming. The team stinks. He's an animal. So I got a kick out of the goalie, like when the ref gets in between them. Like, yeah, let's go, bud.
That might have been the fight of the year so far. Tucker versus Tkachuk.
Yeah,
that was a
school tilt. Give that Tucker a lot of credit.
I think that's just frustration with the way the season's been going for Ottawa. The wires cross. Fuck it.
Yeah, Preds, they were in last place November 18th. Now they're just 2 points back of Winnipeg and Dallas, man. I mean, they're in contention for the division right now. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And back to Forsberg, he's on a 42-goal pace right now. Interestingly, they got $8.25 million in cap space that, if they decide they're going to do some at the deadline, but they have $8.8 million in dead cap hits between Johansson, Ekholm, Duchesne, and Turris. So it's more money in dead money than they have available. But
I'm such a goof. How do you not mention how good Ryan O'Reilly's been there, too? Hell of a signing.
Did touch on it, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I don't like the skills competition.
Let me tell you.
If I had a nickel. Also, back to the Canes real quick. Freddie Anderson has been cleared to start skating. He's missed the last 6 weeks with a blood clot issue. He may be about a month away. Hopefully Carolina can stay afloat because their goaltender, man, it has been rough. We just mentioned Ronta cleared waivers. He's with AHL Chicago right now. So, yeah, man, go Preds, go Juicy
Did I mention
Saros.
this on the last podcast? Like, at what point do you maybe, because of the struggling goaltending, move away from the man-on-man in the D zone?
Yeah, we brought that up.
change up some structural things. I don't know. I know he could be a little bit of a stubborn coach, but hey, once they start mixing in some saves, maybe he'll be having me eat my shit here.
I bumped into a Nashville fan the other night. He was like, "Oh, when are you guys going to talk about him?" I'm like, "Pal, I already got the notes here." And he used to be neighbors with Barry Trotz. He said he lived right next door to him. He said, "Fantastic guy, great neighbor." And he gave this kid a bunch of hockey gear. This kid wasn't really necessarily a hockey fan or knew much about it. Like Trotz gave him a bunch of gear to play street hockey and stuff. And the kid now he's like a diehard Preds fan. So just pretty cool little story about like Trotz, the great neighbor, hooking up the neighborhood with gear. It's just a funny way you can bring more people into the game, grow the game, as they say. So. Shout out to the Preds. Whit, I know you want to talk about the Florida Panthers. This team, I don't think they're even playing their best right now. They're in the hunt for the playoffs. Bobrovsky, they're getting goaltending, I think, that they did not necessarily get last year. And how about friggin' Sam Reinhart, man? What's he going to make next contract? He's making $6.5 million right now on an absolute tear. What kind of bumps he looking at, Whit?
I think he's minimum $8 million right now. He came in the best shape of his life, too. Well, it's just hard, RA, because like he's having a career. I think most people are aware of it. So for a guy, I don't think he's 28, maybe 29 years old. So getting that type of term for a guy like that would be nice. So I would say like an 8x8 to stay in Florida, and he's fit in incredible there. And I would say the funnest team in the league to watch, because even when they're maybe not winning, they're scrumming it up in front of the net. The games are exciting every time you're watching. And now that they're healthy with those two guys on the back end, look out, man. I think that they got an unreal squad. They play like a bunch of pieces of shit. They bring it every single night. Every time we've had them on the broadcast, it's the same thing. It's Tkachuk leading the way, but you got Sam Bennett. So they got that old school toughness along with the skill set. The depth is contributing. The offseason moves that they've brought in to fill in the holes that left. That was hard, man. They lost Stahl. They lost Gudas. They ended up bringing in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who's had a fucking awesome year, man. And it was a couple tough years for him. Not only the ending he had in Arizona, going up to Vancouver. I think even we talked about the Bluebirds earlier in the podcast. I think he was facing some of those in Vancouver. So for him to get bought out, go there and refine his game, I just think overall, and I think a lot has to go to Paul Maurice's demeanor and how patient and calm he is behind the bench. And I just think that instills a lot of confidence in the group, and they're oozing it. Because I had them missing playoffs. I thought with not only the injury to Tkachuk and not getting the full training, and of course Ekblad and Montour coming in, when it was said that they were going to miss maybe 2 to 3 months, I thought that they were done. And sometimes when you go through those long runs, it could take a lot out of you emotionally. So I thought for sure stumbling out of the gate, and wasn't sure whether Bob could get back to that game that he brought. But overall, it's been very, very impressive. And as I said, night in, night out for regular season hockey that can be pretty boring nowadays with a lack of emotion, there's not with that team. Fuck, they had the incident in Columbus the other night too. It's like every time you see something big and chaotic happen, usually they're at the forefront of it.
I think it's no doubt my biggest fuck up in terms of having them miss playoffs. And the goaltending, like Bobrovsky's been real good, but look at Stolarz. When he's played, he's been awesome. So it's like you get those two guys, you get the D-men back, and I think the best thing, if you're a Florida Panthers fan, is that Tkachuk isn't even really lighting it up offensively. I think he's got 21 points in 30 games. So for him, he's probably a little disappointed with his offensive production. Now, he can affect a game in so many different ways, but imagine when he gets going. So their top two lines are just lights out. The Verhaeghe, Tkachuk line, and then you got Barkov, Reinhart, and Evan Rodriguez. What a signing that was. He was in Colorado last year. They bring him over. He's been awesome playing on that top line. And in terms of Reinhart, maybe he could get a little bit more than 8x8, but I think it's one of those things where Florida says to him, hey, you're playing with Barkov. You want to continue to play with him, you can go somewhere else for a little bit more, but if you love playing here, you got this stud center feeding you all night, and you got all these chances that you're burying right now, partly because of him. Take a little bit less, stay here, and this team's built to go on another run. I was completely wrong about them. They have looked awesome. They got a great coach, and it seems like the atmosphere for their games has really turned it up a notch too.
It's been unbelievable.
Yeah, so Sean Thornton, I know he's in the office there. He's doing a lot of different things for that team, but I think part of it was him talking to us about making the atmosphere a little bit better, trying to get more fans in, and obviously winning does a big thing for that. So I think Toronto's going to end up winning the Atlantic, and I actually think Florida might end up with second. Bruins probably finish third, and that's assuming Tampa Bay doesn't sneak into that top three in that division. So Florida, dead wrong about it. I apologize to the Cats fans.
Yeah, OEL definitely resurrected his career. He's got 16 points in 30 games, but Biz, 20 minutes, 36 seconds he's averaging a game. I don't think too many people saw that coming when he was with Vancouver last year, so good for him getting back at it.
I don't think he was expected to get bought out, from my understanding, in Vancouver. And before that, he'd made the commitment where he was going to start working with a power skating coach. I think the one criticism I would have over the last couple of years is he'd kind of lost a step, and he wasn't as strong on his feet. So throughout shifts and in battles, you saw him falling a lot, where this year I just noticed that he's a lot stronger, back to his old days when I was playing him with the Coyotes. And let's not forget, man, this guy had back-to-back 20-goal seasons as a defenseman. This guy's got some game, and he's got some left in him, and I'm really happy that he's got his confidence back.
All right, boys. Well, it's Christmas time. A lot of good Christmas songs out there, and one guy who's pretty good with that stuff, Michael Bublé. We're going to send it over to him right now. Hopefully you enjoy it. Okay, before we go any further, here's a few words from our good friends over at Muggsy. The greatest jeans to ever exist. The only jeans you will ever wear again. Flexible. Stretchy for guys with extra big thighs. Perfect for those holiday parties when you have an extra slice of pie or two. Muggsy jeans will never fail you. Perfect for hockey guys who need that extra legroom, especially if you got a big butt. It's an insane amount of colors and styles for every single guy.
All right, I got to jump in here.
Oh.
We can't not talk about how great you looked at the NYPD FDNY game. Why was that? Muggsy fit you head to toe. You looked incredible.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, the old Canadian tuxedo, it looked a lot better on me than I thought. I mean, I might have been the best-dressed guy there. I love the old collar pup. I felt like I was back 15 years old, looking good, hanging out on Main Street. But Muggsy makes you look dynamite. They have dynamite product. Good stuff. First-time customers can get 20% back on their first order right now. All you need to do is head to Muggsy.com, enter your email, and the discount is automatically added to your cart. That's 20% back on the only jeans and pants you will ever wear again. Free shipping and free returns on every single order, so the only risk is never knowing how great they truly are. Muggsy jeans, go get them, man. You look awesome in them.
And I can say before we wrap this ad up, without a doubt, the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I've always been an advocate flying in sweatpants. I'm a big sweatpants guy. Not since Muggsy jeans came around. They feel like sweatpants. They're stretchy. They're just so soft and comfortable. So Muggsy.com, 20% back on your first order. Go now.
Well, we are very excited to bring on our next guest, and it's the perfect time with Christmas just a few days away. He's a crooner from Burnaby, British Columbia that has sold over 75 million albums. He's also won 8 Junos and 4 Grammys, and there's no doubt you've heard his velvety smooth voice, especially this time of year. It's a pleasure to welcome to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Michael Bublé. Merry early Christmas, my friend. How you been?
Happy Christmas. You know I'm not a big fan of Christmas, but Merry Christmas back to you. It's good to be here, guys. I'm a long-time listener, big-time fan, watcher, weirdo. So it's finally nice to be invited on.
We were shocked to hear that. Now, since you're such a hockey guy, do you have a hockey name? What do we call you, Boobsy? Like, what's your hockey name?
the boobs for sure.
The boobs.
Okay. Or Mickey Bubbles, they called me.
Why Mickey Bubbles?
It's weird, man. Even now, forget about hockey. In every country, no joke, they have a name where that's just what they call me. Like in any Spanish country, I'm Miguel Burbuja, which means bubble in Spanish. And it's weird. Like, so people will be at the dinner table and like, hey, put on some Miguel Burbuja. And in Australia, what am I in Australia? Mickey Bubbles. I'm Mickey Bubbles. Yeah. Or the boobs. The boobs. In England, I'm with the boobs, Mickey Boobs, or I don't even know. It's just what it is. It's weird, you guys, too, because my name,
yeah.
they always wanted to like change. The record company was always like, this name sucks. You need a name a better name. Like it's not a great name. And they always wanted to change it. And I was like, no, it hurt my dad's feelings. I could see. And I was like, no, I'm going to go with it. And now everything I do, it's like Pepsi with bubbly and you know what I mean? It's like, thank God.
Yeah.
I didn't change the name.
No, stick to your roots. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely, boobs. Big Canucks fan, as we know. You were at the Ring of Honor ceremony for Roberto Luongo the other night. You pals with Bert at all?
I know Roberto. It was emotional. It was nice for him. It was beautiful. It was a nice night to see him and his family there and see his kids, how grown up they are. And it was nice for the Canuck fans, because we've been through a lot together and a lot of heartache. And obviously, we had great moments, but it was nice to see. Nice to see how emotional he was. He deserves it.
How did you become such a hockey fan? Like, what got you into it?
Just you guys, parents, family. I mean, dude, that is, we talk about having core memories as a kid. And for me, really, it was just big Italian family dinners and just watching the Edmonton Oilers beat the shit out of my Vancouver Canucks. It just felt like every game, it just felt like at that age, like it was like Gretzky and every goddamn record he ever had, it was like against the Canucks. And, but just core memories. My grandpa taking me to the Pacific Coliseum and we walked to the game and, those gorgeous yellow sweaters that everybody thinks are ugly that I thought were the most beautiful things. And, my dad was young too, right? My mom and dad had me young at 18, 19. And so they were at the bars and they would come home with the coasters, the beer coasters, and it would be the autographs of Tony Tanti and whoever, Gradine and Stan Smeal, the steamer. And I just dude, to this day, I hold those memories. I remember the taste of the sub sandwiches and hearing that puck drop at center ice and my whole life, like every other Canadian kid, that was my dream, man. And it was funny because I used to play in the garage and I just stick handle rip shots. I'd bust up their drywall but then I would always at one point in those hours of playing in the garage, I would stop and I would say the Vancouver Canucks proudly select first overall in the 19. And it's funny because at first there was this realistic thought because I was 13 and then 14 and then I was 38 years old. You know what I mean? The oldest ever draft pick ever somehow.
Just hanging on. Just
coming
hanging
out
on
of the
to that dream.
WHL at 43 years old.
Double overage for sure. I was actually talking to Kevin Bieksa to try to dig up a little dirt on you, and obviously you guys are close. And speaking of going back to Luongo night, I said, "Do you have any funny stories?" And he said, "Yeah, this one time he came out to practice, and he did call you a little bit of a bender. So you came out there, you had the weird gear on, you had the full cage on, and you got to take a breakaway against Luongo." And he says he poke checked you, and you ended up going ass over tea kettle in your helmet.
That's not, but it's close. Firstly, they gave me the equipment, so I showed up with my shit, and then they were like, "No, you wear this," and they gave me a bucket that was it was so bad, so bad.
The old Messier Winwell.
It was terrible, and the best part is I remember getting onto the ice, and dude, these are my heroes, like these guys. Like I'm not the same guy now. I'm a lot older now, and I'm like I would have just totally enjoyed it way more, but I was like terrified. And Kevin goes, "So what do you want, man?" And I go, "I want a breakaway against Lou." And literally, he just sort of turned, and even without saying anything, because the dude's such a leader, and he's such a beautiful guy. All the dudes just start banging their stick, and you got Cass and the Sedins and all these guys just banging their sticks. Listen, it was forget about me skating. I nearly shit my pants. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Against Lou, and the dude is like 8 feet tall. And you come in on net and you see nothing. There's not a space. And I think I hit the post. I know I hit the post. And then I went down hard into the boards. I was I was happy that I was just done,
Okay. He described it as
a matter of fact, I just made a bet with Thatcher, and I think I offended him. And I was like, "Dude, I get 5 breakaways. If I score on one, I go, you have to come to my show and get up on stage in front of 15,000 people, and you have to sing." And he's real dry, And he goes, "You're not going to score." And Elias, I said, "No." I go, I'm going to come slow, but I got good hands. I will pop one in." And Elias Pettersson just started laughing at me. We were at dinner the other night. He just started laughing at me. Another dry Swedish guy. And he goes, "Oh, watch out, Thatcher. He's extra dangerous because he's slow." And I was like, "No, fuck you guys. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to pop one. And if I do," I said, "you're getting up on stage with me and you're going to sing." And Thatcher looks at me and he goes, "Well, then I'm going to let you score because that would be my dream come true."
That's awesome that you're so close with all these guys and still hanging out with all of them, even the current players.
They're good. They're good guys. Man, I think it's weird, but a lot of time with a lot of athletes, and you guys will probably attest to this, I think that there's you have a lot in common with somebody that's in my business. Like, it's a lot of pressure. You love what you do, but at the same time, just a person. And, fans and people expect a certain thing from you, and you're doing your best. And if you're not your best, they go like, "What's wrong with this dude? He's getting paid this much." Well, it's hard to say that to a guy who's a big fan of, it's like, yeah, I know he's getting paid a lot, but, he's a person. But it's easy because you forget, you sit and watch. Right. I mean, listen, guys, I did it the other day on Saturday. I was watching, I had my fantasy football second week of championships. We started a week early. And my son came in, and I was literally screaming at Jamar Chase. Like screaming, just saying terrible. Like, my son was like, "What did he do to you, Poppy? What happened?" You know what I mean? And even I did it.
My fantasy league. That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
So go to your room.
Then he had the audacity to get injured and leave.
But when I played hockey, if I had an off night and I threw a pizza up the middle, like it was blatant, like Whitney sucked tonight. Like when you think you had an off show or an off concert, like people wouldn't necessarily even notice, right? Like you got the pipes. Like,
oh no, dude, of course they notice. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man, they notice. And by the way, they'll tell you. Like the people that are like, I got a great mom. My mom loves me, and my mom is a support. Let me tell you, like I'll go do a TV show or something, and I'll come back and she'll go like, "You've been better." And he's just, she's honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you? Can I ask you, how are your parents like that? Like, how do they feel?
Oh, yeah.
Same way. My mom will shoot it to me straight. Hey, Mom, do you like the podcast? You're a little too vulgar on there. I don't really like listening when you're too vulgar. It's like, okay, I'll tone it down.
That is my life. Like my dad is such a gentleman. And so when I do my press, I'm dirt. I'm just me. I'm from Burnaby. It's hard for people because I know that I put on a suit and become that Michael Bublé guy for a couple hours a night. But this is me. And my dad will go like, Mike, I just didn't know why you had to use this word. I like it when you're, my dad's favorite interviews are when I'm really
60
humble.
minutes.
And I go, I'm really just lucky to be doing this and so blessed to have these beautiful people support me. And I'm just really thankful. But that's me sometimes. But the real me is dry and,
Well, speaking of criticism, did you get any fan criticism when you canceled the concert to go to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals when when Vancouver was playing Boston at home?
R.A. wedged you.
Yeah. I heard it's actually your fans that rioted the city. They were so upset that you canceled the concert.
You know what, man? That was a mistake. I look back and I go, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have done it. But dude, and I canceled in Connecticut.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people that didn't sure, there were some Bruins fans, but a lot of people didn't care. And so when I moved it, I came back and that night it wasn't great.
What do you mean? Like boo birds?
Boo birds. Thousands boo birds. People just left.
Oh no.
Like the first song finished and people literally had just come to leave. Oh. That's not a joke. Like they literally booed me and then, got up and
double
left.
Barrel and see you later.
And I was like, it's funny, man. I was, again, younger, way more, I wasn't thinking probably, what's funny, man, if the Canucks had won, I'd probably have, totally thought it was worth it. But that they lost just sucked.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool seeing that you're part owner of the Vancouver Giants in the WHL. And when you originally got involved, like Gordie Howe and Pat Quinn were part of the crew. Like, how did that come together?
Yeah, those were the guys. Like Ron Toigo has owned the Giants since their inception, and he's just one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends. And so when he called me and asked, he was like, "Hey, would you like to be involved?" It was a no-brainer. Like, listen, you guys, it's funny. We talk about me being a Canucks fan. I'm a Canucks fan, but I'm a hockey fan. I watch as much hockey of every other team as I do the Canucks. I know every player. I know their stats. I love hockey. I think it is the greatest game in the world. I think it's a game of humility. I think there are incredible codes, and I feel bad if people don't understand it and they make those jokes and go, "There was a fight and a hockey game broke out." It's like, no, you know what? Those guys that are fighting, those are the real gentlemen, because there's a code that people will never understand. I said it to Brock the other night. We were talking about his scoring all these goals, and the other day my son was watching, and my son's a big Besser fan, and Brock scored, and he didn't lift up his hands. He popped the goal, and he literally skated over to I can't remember who passed him, but it was Garland or somebody, and he just skated over to him, and you could see it was like, dude, thank you, man. That was great. But no hot dog celebration, no going into, you know what I mean? And I look at my kids and I'm like, look at that. I'm like, look at that honor, man. Look at that sportsmanship. Like, that's something about hockey that I don't think many sports have now. I think everything is about, the individual. It's about putting on the show and me. And I just love that it's a team sport. And I love it when guys aren't team players, even though fans don't know, they many times are ostracized. And either they're like, I know the same stories you guys know about the same players. And people are like, "Oh man, he was a great player. Why wasn't he not on the team anymore?" And it's like, well, he's not on the team anymore because he's an asshole he wasn't a team guy, And we might not know that because of the code of the game. No one outside was ever going to tell you that. But when he was playing really amazing, they'd keep him on the team because, he's playing amazing. But the second he started to fall off, adios, amigo.
Michael, I think it's pretty obvious early on that you have a big heart. One of the other stories that Bieksa told me about was when during the lockout, he threw a charity game.
Yeah.
And you were scheduled to play in this game. And you call him the night before. I hope this is true. And you're like, hey, I can't play. And he's like, well, what do you mean you can't play? Like, you're on the flyer. Like, everybody who's showing up, we got 5,000 sold out at UBC's
For
arena.
you.
And he's like, and you're like, I'm too nervous. I can't play. And then he's like, listen, he goes, just show up with your gear. We're going to put you out there with the Sedines and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you end up, and you were still nervous. You didn't want to do it. You end up showing up, and you said, hey, I can't play, but
that's
I'll
not,
go behind the bench.
I'll tell you. So again,
not true. Is he bullshitting again?
Here's really what happened. I'll give you the, so he calls, he goes, come on, man. You're going to come out, throw you on the line with Sedines. And I go, Kev, you're playing against the UBC Thunderbirds. And he goes, yeah. And I go, bro, I don't give a shit what kind of charity you have. They're going to want to kill me. And if I was one of them, I want to kill me too. I was like, I'm not going to go and play against these guys who are having, like, that's their Stanley Cup. I said, like, what do you think they're going to just stop being competitive all of a sudden because it's me, the jazz singer guy? I was like, no, Kevin. And then I said to him, I remember distinctly, I was at my grandpa's house. I said, dude, how much money are you looking to raise? And he said, we want to raise this. And I said, okay, I'm going to give you that. So whatever you raise will be a bonus on top of that. And I just gave the money. And then I came and coached, and I was so happy. And by the way, it was a good decision because the UBC guys, it wasn't like some old timer. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't. Those kids, you know what I mean? It was like, I'm sure that some of them were like, maybe I get
it would have been like Pronger on Bieber.
Right?
Remember Pronger ran over Bieber?
With my Giants and stuff, I go out and skate with the guys.
The way that he described it was, I think they raised about $100,000 and you came out and grabbed the mic off him and you matched it. You matched the offer.
I want to live in Kevin's world of stories.
These are the two stories he gave me. So maybe the CTE.
He probably just remembers it like that. But I have, like, listen, I don't know. You know what's really funny? I was actually watching him with you guys before this season started.
Okay.
And you guys did like this deep dive on the Canucks. And Kevin was like, nah, you know what? They're going to be better than you think. They got some young players. And you guys were like, nah, they're going to be I actually remember, I think it was you, but you said something like, you go, really? Are they going to be better than Colorado, Los Angeles, Edmonton? And you just started listing all the names. And it was like I was sitting there, and it's hilarious because, again, I'm on tour. My thing's open. I'm watching your pod, and I'm going, you assholes are wrong. I'm telling you right now, I knew they were going to be better than you guys thought they were going to be. I knew they thought they were better. So it was so much fun. Even with Kevin, I was like, no, they're going to be better than you think they are.
You a season ticket holder, Mike?
I am not a season ticket holder.
I think he could probably get him whatever he wants. All right.
It's funny, man. I pay. Like, I'll go to the game sometimes with Francesco, or go to the game with different friends of mine, or Toigo. But like the other day, sometimes it's just nice for me to take my kids, man, and sit, go buy some tickets and go just sit. And I honestly, the other night I took them against, who did they play against? I can't remember. We won, but I think it was one of the best nights of my life. I'm not even joking. I brought my two sons and their little cousin, and I went and bought all the swag. I went and bought all the jerseys, and they got him this chain with this gold chain. And I had more, dude. It's just like, dude, you know what? We were talking about those old games at the Coliseum. It took me back to the core memories that were built for me with my dad and my grandpa. And I actually came home, and my wife was in bed with the baby, and she was like, how was it? And I said, babe, I need to buy some packs of tickets because I have to do this. Like,
Do your boys play?
Hey?
Do your boys play?
Yeah, they play. They play like their dad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny too, guys. It's so funny too because I'm like this. I'm such a super proud, Canadian Hockey 11 guy, and my wife's Argentinian, and it's like we go play hockey and then they score and they do like a Ronaldo celebration. Like, they love soccer, man. They're so Argentinian. I can't get it out of them. So
you've mentioned your grandfather a couple times. He was majorly influential in your life, but also your singing career. Is it true that he told you to enter a contest when you were like 16, 17 years old?
Is that what Kevin Bieksa said? No, I'm just messing.
Is that not true too? Is that how it all came about?
No, my grandpa, I did anything. Like I did contests. My grandpa was a plumber for 50 years of his life who wanted to be a geography teacher, but he was a plumber because it was better dough and he could raise his family, even though it was a hard gig. He was a massive hockey fan, started off as a Rangers fan. Then he found, Canucks in 70. And he loved music. And him and I were best friends. And I miss him every single minute of every day. We just talked hockey every day. And musically, he would sit on this carpet with me and he would go, "Okay, Sunshine." He never called me Mike. It was Sunshine. "Hey, Sunshine." Say, I want you to listen to this. This is Dean Martin. This is the Mills Brothers. Listen to this. This is Bobby Darin. This is Ella Fitzgerald. This is Sarah Vaughan. And he'd go through all the music and I would eat it up and I would like digest it. And like, I loved every second of it. And just made our friendship so great, And then at 14, I was like, "Grandpa, I can do this. I can sing this stuff and I can do this." And so he used to go for the local musicians. I remember a guy named Dave Korn, this trumpet player. And we go to Dave Korn's little place in East Van, his house. And my grandpa would go and fix his carburetor and shit, his hot water heaters. And he'd go and plumb in his house. And then Dave Korn would let me get up on stage. And he'd do it at the clubs. He'd do it at the nightclubs. He'd do it for the bar owners. He would take me to auditions. Like I remember going to audition for the Variety Club Telethon. And I think my slot was like 4:30 in the morning or something. And he just loved me, man. He just loved me so much. And I was really lucky. I had like a great family. My sisters and all my relatives were so supportive. And I'd go play clubs downtown and go kind of through the Pacific Northwest and just had, and it was like people go, "Holy shit, who is this guy? Like it's busy. Like this club is packed. Who is this kid?" And they would think it was because I was so good, but it wasn't because I was good. It was because my mom had broken the balls of every single friend and relative that we had. And we would all, they'd all come down and, be drinking and dancing and watching the kid cut his teeth. And they did that for years, man. From that age, I didn't get signed till I was 26. So it was a little over 10, 12 years. Yeah, I moved to Toronto. Remember Jeff Healy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I used to go with Jeff Healy and I used to carry his guitar and hang out with all these great guys, James B. and all these great players like Robert Scott and great Bob Scott. And we'd go to the Reservoir Lounge and the Bank and Healy's Club. And I just kept playing, thinking like, somebody's going to see this. Somebody's going to recognize this, And then I got lucky.
Was there ever a moment where you maybe 24, 25, where you're like, I don't know if I can keep doing this and just like, or was it kind of like, no matter what, I'm going to make it?
I think, again, I know this without speaking for you, that we have so many similarities in our lives, because I will tell you, I know with both you gentlemen, there were probably many times in your life that, you deep down, you wondered, am I going to get the shot? Am I going to get drafted? Am I going to get cut? Or I'm going to, but you have this weird belief that's so deep and a drive that's so, this ambition that's so high that it's like, it was going to happen. And you guys both did it. Like you made it happen. It just was going to happen. It's just how it is. And whatever it took, whoever you had to be, however hard, how many times you had to dig in and put your head down and go into the boards, it was going to happen. And that's how it was for me with music. It was like, I'm just going to, I won't allow it to not happen.
What would you have considered your big break? Like, what was the moment where you're like, wow, I finally, got there?
I don't think I had a big break, but I think like one time I used to go and open for Jay Leno, and I remember that night I killed, actually it's really funny. People were starting to buzz a little bit. And I remember that like Entertainment Tonight or something brought their cameras down And I had gone on stage and I'd done this, I was his opener, and the audience went like crazy for me, crazy. And I was like bowing and they were going crazy. And then I realized much too late that they were going crazy because Jay Leno had snuck up behind me. And that's why they were going crazy. But I remember it was like Jay was so warm with me, and I could see that I could tell that he was like, this kid's gonna be good. This kid's gonna be okay. And I remember I called my grandpa that night and I said, Grandpa, I think this shit is gonna happen. And by the way, there was a million other things and dominoes that had to fall perfectly. And I'd end up going to 50 countries all over the world before it ever broke for me. Like, dudes, I was way more successful in the Philippines, South Africa, Australia, England, like the rest of the world. And I was an American signed act. And it was like, I have a manager named Bruce Allen. And he just kept saying, hey kid, you know what? America's okay, but you want to go to Germany? Want to try Holland? Want to go to Switzerland? It was like, okay.
I remember every concert I've ever been to, it's like you see this packed stadium and you look out at someone performing. And I just remember like thinking like, this must be so incredible. Like this many people just for you. I assume that can't get old, right? Like when you're having a big show and you're on your game that night, like the rush you must feel it's just incredible, no?
I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't know, man. I love it. Like, I love it, but I genuinely feel really comfy. Yeah. There are big moments, but again, I don't want to keep going back, but I mean, you guys played 82 games a year, and I know you had big games. I know the playoffs, you probably, obviously, but once you start, like, did you get a rush, or for you, was it, you were just doing what you did and you loved it, but you know what I mean?
Some nights it feels like a job. Other nights you remember what made you fall in love with it. So it can get.
It's funny
grueling.
too. It's like I always think about this too, because the reason I had said to you before how guys have a rough game and fans are tough on them, dude. I'll have a night where for whatever reason I'm tired and grumpy and I've been a dick, and my wife is like, "You're a dick," and it's like she hangs up the phone or something, and then I'm like in a terrible mood. And it's like, you're on in 15 minutes. And it's like, oh shit, like I need to get myself out of this, but it's hard because again, I'm just a dude. And it's like, and then I think about, I'm lucky because before I'll close my eyes and I'll be like, all of these people paid hard-earned money. They hired babysitters. They've got like their college or university's tuitions are expensive, and they found a way to come and pay for parking and popcorn and to take hours out of their busy life to come and hang with you, dude. So get your shit together, get over yourself, call your wife and apologize. And that's, it's weird because I'm doing the show. That's great. People pay to see you. And so there's a lot less pressure. Like as I just went and did, I just sang at the Kennedy Center. I just did the Kennedy Center honors. And I was honoring Barry Gibb and the Bee Gees.
Oh, nice.
Dude, I was like so nervous. Like, you look out in the audience and you just like, there's Robert De Niro just staring at you, and Rob Reiner and all these people. And it's like, and what was funny is there was another artist with me there who's a super famous artist. And when I came off, she was going on next, and I grabbed her hand and I was like, okay, kill it. And I could feel that her hand was really sweaty and cold. And it made me feel better because I was like, look, she's incredible, and she's scared too. So, it made me feel a lot better.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. I read Tony Bennett was a mentor of yours. By the way, my condolences on the loss of your friend. How crazy was it, though, the first time you actually worked with a legend of that caliber?
Oh, man. It's all crazy, dude. It's all, again, I'm from Burnaby. And so I look up and I look across from me and there's him or Streisand or even Justin Bieber. Or I've just done like this amazing, it's weird because I still find myself like as a fan, like I've just done this song with Jason Derulo. It is such a slapper. I'm telling you right now, it is. I can never say for sure, but if it's not a massive global hit, I will be shocked. But even with Derulo, like I kind of like I watch him or I listen to him and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's good. You know, like, wow, like I'm always, I always have that reverence and respect. So like with Tony or, you know, some of my favorite people, Lady Gaga, she's amazing. You know, like I go and see her and it's like, oh my God, this girl is really unbelievable. I can't believe I kept on the red carpet. They kept out in all these interviews. They're like, how do you feel about being at the Kennedy Center Honors? And I just kept saying, my manager always tells me that if you walk like a duck, talk like a duck, and swim with the ducks, it'll be reasonable for people to assume that you're a duck. And so I just try to like fake it and like get involved with as many of these amazing. I mean, listen, Sir Paul McCartney produced the last record. Like, you know, I was trying to act
a
cool.
Wild story.
I was trying to act cool, but I wasn't cool.
Yeah. Sometimes we get asked like, you know, favorite barn you played in, favorite city. Like, do you have one spot when you're going there? You know it's going to be a good show. You're fired up. Maybe a favorite venue.
Weirdly, in America, I love Minnesota. Love
shit.
it. Just feels so Canadian. Yeah. It's like I get out there and it's like I can't explain it. It's like really, really warm. Really outgoing. I mean, my favorite country to tour is probably America because they're just outgoing people. I love my hometown of Vancouver, but we're a little bit less demonstrative. We're kind of, you know, I love my home city, but it's, you know, they're a little more conservative. I love Australia, love Northern England, love Germany. I think Germany is my favorite place to tour, probably.
When you say that, do you mean like as in those other places they get rowdier, like the crowd is just like going crazy for you? Dude. That's what you mean, yeah?
Dude, like
people throwing panties on stage, panties and bras like a Drake show.
It's just definitely they're way in. Like they're just they're nuts, you know? People are just nuts. And it's so some countries are different.
Were you receptive when they brought up the Christmas album? Like initially? Because I feel like, you know, every guy who's got a voice like yours eventually.
I said no. I thought it cost me my career, truthfully.
When you did it, you thought you weren't going to get the outpouring of support?
No,
I mean,
no. I made the first record, made the second record, and then the president called me and he said, "You'll be making a holiday record." And I said, "No, I won't." And he said, I was in a hotel room in Florida. And he was like, "Yes, you will." And I said, I said, "No, I won't." I said, "You know what?" I said, "That just makes me feel like you think I'm a flash in the pan." I said, I'm not ready. I said, "Give me a chance to really establish myself. And when I do, I will make you a great record. Like I love Christmas. I will make you a badass record." And then he was like, "Well, I don't think you're understanding. I think, you know, you're going to make that record." And I said, I don't care about your fourth quarter.
Right.
I am not making that record. Then I hung up the phone. I called my manager and I said, "Bruce, I think they're going to drop me." And he started to laugh. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He said, "Don't be an idiot." He said, "Just sold too many records. They ain't dropping you." So I knew, man. I waited. I was like, because I knew I wanted to be established and I knew I had a great record up my sleeve. I knew, like, dude, I was so, it's funny, man. I remember sitting in the studio and these people kept saying, "You're making a Christmas record." And I remember because over and over I kept saying, "No, I'm not making a Christmas record." I kept saying, "I'm making the Christmas record." Because I really loved it. And I still, dude.
Oh, it's like, incredible.
Dude, before I came downstairs, I have a 1-year-old daughter and we were dancing to Bing Crosby Jingle Bells I genuinely love it. So it's like, you know, the fact that it's done what it's done, and it's funny too, because people will like write me on my social and be like, "Oh, he's made another record." It's like, no, dumbass. I made one record 13 years ago. It's not my fault that I'm dominating.
Yeah. Oh, it crushed. I mean, my parents blared all the time. I know you're little tire pump for yourself. Not a big deal. My mom would also always blare Nat King Cole.
Oh, absolutely. It's so beautiful. My mom would play the Crosby record, the Elvis record, and oh God, weirdly Boney M sometimes.
What do you make of all these people butchering the Canadian national anthem this year in the NHL? Have you seen how many people have butchered it?
Yes, dude.
We gotta get like a pre-recorded Bublé version where they just play instead of trying to get these other people out there.
It is the reason that I won't do the anthems.
Well, you afraid that you'll fuck it up?
Dude, do you know that it's the one fucking song that everybody knows? It's like the one song. Like you could be doing whatever. I could be singing Haven't Met You and say, that's right. And people would say, oh, that. But you mess up you mess up the Star Spangled Banner or Canada, you are a Nazi murdering piece of shit that should die. It's like all of a sudden, people that couldn't give a shit become the most patriotic and angry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like, cancel them. And it's like, why? You know,
burn his Christmas album.
Burn it.
Burn it. Burn it to the ground.
It's like, I did one. I think it was like the COVID year. And they were like, would you do it for the reopening of the league? And I was like, it depends. Like, can I record it? Is it like in an empty building? They were like, yep. I was like, can I have the words on the thing? They were like, yep. I was like, okay.
That's how I would do it for sure.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Scary, man.
I read your dad was a commercial fisherman. You used to work with him in the summers. Exactly what kind of fisherman was he? I know there was all different types out there.
So he worked. We had my grandfather, my great grandfather immigrated from Italy, and he was a shipbuilder. And my grandfather, my Frank Bublé, was a first generation of seine fishermen. They ran seine boats. He was a captain of a seine. It's like a purse seiner. It's like a net that one side attaches to the beach, the other is attached to the boat and a drum, and then you sort of open it up in a half circle. It's quite shallow, so it really only gets salmon. And then the salmon come in to what we used to call Bublé Bay, and then we would close the net, and then we would on the drum lift up and sort of create a purse so that it would then come up and you'd catch the salmon in a bag and it would come over the stern. And if you really got lucky and there were too many salmon to come up over the stern, we would do something called brailing. And brailing is you get this big kind of gigantic spoon and you would scoop the salmon out. And when you did that, you knew you were making money. Like that was like, I won't, like the best times of my life, man. Sitting on a freezing cold, guys just, dead, tired, but you're watching each scoop and you know that you're making, $400 every single time it goes in. You have a big, $2,000-$3,000 day. And we used to sing, my buddy Dino used to, as we were coming up, he used to sing, I want to know, have you ever seen us braille? And we would do the brailing.
Was that done? So your whiskey, we're in the booze business. You're now in the booze business.
You're the reason, man. I'm telling you right now, I watch you guys and think, dude, these sexy bastards put this thing out. Look at them. They must be making, I want in on that shit.
Oh, I thought Ryan Reynolds was the reason that got you into it because he did aviation. No. And you're
hey, you guys are the first. Truly.
Okay. All right. Well, I
and by the way, I think the success you've had is bigger than I would say anyone else's. Is it not?
So we're fortunate enough. I think we are the fastest growing spirit in the history of.
Dude, you've done over 1 million cases, I believe.
We did 807,000 cases in our first year. Yeah, sorority girls loved it and it popped off and it just became the shot of colleges.
Like
now yours is called Fraser and Thompson.
Yeah, Fraser and Thompson. Yeah, F&T.
F&T, is that where you used to fish a lot or like what's the backstory?
Grandpa used to take us up camping and there used to be this, well, it's like, listen, I don't know if you want to tell people because I don't know if people know, but like, I'll just ask you, is your story real? Is it real?
Of how it was created?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've told it before that we got New Amsterdam Vodka as a sponsor to come on and they said, how do you drink your vodka? Describe it to him when you first talk about the introduction. Okay. And then Whit kind of went into the story about his favorite drink that he drinks on the golf course. And he used to mix Newman's Own, the pink lemonade and vodka. And he's like, I call it the Pink Whitney. So all these fans kept hashtagging Pink Whitney, love it. Great summer drink. So we're like, we got to do this. So yes, it happened very organically, much like yours.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, cause when I had my first big meetings, they were like, we need to come up with a story. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, a story. And they were like, that's kind of what they do. And I was like, give me an example. Like one guy, one celebrity thing, they said he had it and put it on the party. And when it came back, it was always empty. And that's the story. And I was like, I don't have a story. My grandpa used to make wine. He's an Italian grandpa that used to make wine in his basement. They used to make grappa. You know what grappa is? It's like moonshine. And he'd like throw cherries in. And so my wife and I, we bought this, we became part owners of this really wonderful boutique distillery in Montreal with this guy named Paul Circa. And it was like, you know what? We got 4 kids and we wanted to do something where we could have something together. Like we didn't expect to make money. We didn't think it would blow up. We just thought that, it sounds terrible, but like, we talk and go like, hey man, like, when the kids are growing up and they leave, I'd love to be able to look at you and we, we're friends. Like it's not just about the kids. Like we have our own thing. And so, we bought the little boutique, and then a buddy of ours was like, you should go and talk with this guy who worked with Reynolds. And I did. And I liked him and his wife a lot. And then Paul and I literally 2.5 years, my wife, him and I, we tried to I don't even know what you call it, reverse engineer a whiskey for people that might not love whiskey. You know what I mean? Like I understand that you have Pappy Van Winkle at $4,000 a bottle, and it's awesome. That's silly. But that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something that was accessible, and that for $35 that you could bring that bottle into a party where some dude had Pappy Van Winkle, and you could, and it could live, and you could go like, this is good. And it was smooth and sweet. And, it's been a lot of fun, man. I didn't realize how hard, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work, man. A lot of work. But I mean, I get to drink while I work. So it's,
does the whiskey warm up your throat in order to perform?
It's funny. I never drink when I work. I never drink when I sing, but, yeah, it's really good, man. And then my wife I make old fashions for her. I actually just take a little bit out of the top, and then I put a little brown sugar and and orange juice and then a little vanilla, and I just shake it up and put it in the freezer, and she loves it. But dude, it's so much fun. And for me, it's fun because it's I've been a singer for a long time, and I have had this cycle of make a record, write the record, promo the record, tour the record. And so it was really fun for me to go, you know what? How about now I go and become a businessman and try to, make this the top selling whiskey in the world.
What's the story behind the name?
Yeah, F&T. So I'll show you guys. So look, so you can see, if you look at the bottle, if you look at the top thing here, so you see those two kind of things of water. It says F&T, and you got just above the whiskey. So Grandpa used to take me camping, and in BC, if you go up the coast, the Fraser River, the mighty Fraser, we call it, meets with the Glacier Thompson. And my grandpa would always take us up there camping. Okay. And there was this confluence where the two bodies meet, right? And it creates this amazing thing. Well, they built a gondola over it now, I think. But so for me, it was so cool because it was perfect for what this was, which was a bourbon that was being made by Heaven Hill in Kentucky and infused with a whiskey that we were creating in Montreal. So this Canadian-American blend, which was
cool.
Perfect for the story, man. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's why I was asking about the story, because it was this is good. I'm not going to have to bullshit about something that isn't real for the next 10 years.
Well, your story sounds a lot cooler than ours.
Yours is good. Hey, yours is good, man. It's the real deal.
I appreciate that. I just had two quick things. So RA, before every show, he's always doing this and warming up his throat. Is there maybe a new warm up you could teach him so we don't have to be grossed out listening to him gargle into his microphone in our ears?
This is hilarious. Chrissy, tell them. I'm not even going to tell them what I do. You show them what I do. Come on.
What am I showing
you? Do the sound. What do I do when I'm warming up all day?
Okay, we'll stick with RA's gargling.
Yeah, I can switch if you want.
My wife, literally, she's sitting there. She's like, "Shut up, Mike, don't more." And I can't. I go, "Eee," because I want to check if I got the voice. And my kids, everyone, it just pisses everyone off. And then the thing that I do right before I go on, and it works, and it's weird, is this. I go, and I do like this weird thing. I don't know.
I'm going to steal those too. I'm going to do those before I go on TNT now, even though I'm not singing. And then the last thing I was going to ask you is a quick one. So being a Canucks fan, do you have any enemies in the league? Do you have any players that you despise and you hate? The first name that comes to mind, obviously being a Canucks fan, would be Brad Marchand. Or are you just a loving guy? I gotta be honest, guys. Nothing?
I follow Brad Marchand on Instagram.
Oh my God.
And he does not follow me. And you know what's crazy is that while I might dislike him, I respect the hell out of him.
Oh yeah.
I truly do. He's one of those dudes where I fucking hate playing against him, but damn, do I wish he was on our team.
Oh yeah.
He's a winner. He's a dude who steps up every single time in the clutch. And I just, you know what, man? I respect the hell out of it. That's I literally, it's weird, I know, but like as a Canuck fan, that probably seems sacrilegious, but I follow him and because I have a lot of respect for him.
Michael, before we let you go, I have to ask, you went on our buddy's podcast, KFC Radio, and you told them about this ice rink that you have in your basement that Chad Kroger also has one as well. Can you tell us about that? How did that come to be? And do you actually have an ice rink in your basement?
I do. I'm looking at it right now.
No shit.
I do. Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'm a complete idiot.
You can thank the Christmas album for building that.
I thought it was going to be such a great. No, you know what, you guys? It was, my dad helped me so that we didn't like. It wasn't. Listen, it's not cheap, obviously, but we did it. We tried to do it in an affordable way. There's no way to talk about this without people hating on you, man.
No,
I've realized. Yeah, they do.
You've earned everything you've got, buddy.
He says he's a normal guy, but he has a nice. It's like, guys, it was my dream. Like, I suck at hockey, and I know I'll always suck at hockey, but I love it, man. It is my happiness, my joy. I still get like butterflies as I'm lacing up my skates because I love going out. I don't know if there's a more beautiful sound than the sound of a puck hitting a hockey stick, and that sound and that feeling of being with your buddies and, probably being wasted and playing is like, dude, it's funny too. It's not like something I just do alone. A lot of kids from the neighborhood are out and they get to play, and I have like a guy that comes and is a really beautiful cat who teaches the kids and skating, and it's cool for the community. As a matter of fact, the ice is out right now because my kids play lacrosse, so I wanted them to have something in this kind of yucky weather to be able to play. And tomorrow at 4:00, I got about 17, 18 guys coming over to play ball hockey. And they'll range from 17 years old to 65, 60, I got 2 defibrillators just in case.
Yeah. Some oxygen. That's awesome.
But it's, man, it's like, it was my dream, man. And David Foster, the producer, David Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to I remember I was like, dude, should I do this? And I remember he just said to me, do it once. If you can, he said, do it once, do the big ticket item one time. If that's your thing, it's because I was never so into cars. I didn't want to go and buy some fancy jewelry or gold piece. It wasn't. So if I was going to do it once, this was going to be the once. And I could, basically I built like a weird place that I could hang with my friends and play a little golf or soccer. Just I love sports, man, just anything. And now my kids use it all the time. So it turned out to be a good idea. And I hope when you guys are in Vancouver, I hope you'll come out and we can go for a rip together.
Yeah, we'll stick RA in net. We'll just
can't wait
them. But hey,
haven't been there in 12 years.
We can't thank you enough. You're a Canadian icon, buddy, and this means a lot to us. And hopefully at some point we can all meet in person, and hopefully it's in your basement snapping the puck around.
No, seriously, let's go.
Okay.
We should. Absolutely, man.
Next
I'm bringing the ice.
Cup.
I'm
Don't
putting the ice back
twice.
in, I think I think it's come back in January, late January. So I know you guys are going to be around, so let's go. Let's have a day.
Yeah.
We should film something. We should be stupid and go and just play.
Definitely.
Done.
I'm down. Absolutely.
Thank you guys, and congratulations on everything. And thank you guys for having me. I'll keep listening and watching.
Thank you. Merry Christmas,
so much.
Happy New Year,
guys.
And enjoy those residuals.
Merry Christmas to you.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. That was amazing.
Okay, before you go any further, here's a few words from our friends over at Lightbox Jewelry. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds. Wow. Grown in Portland, gifted by you. Explore all the reasons to give and receive lab-grown diamonds this season. Is this the best-kept secret in holiday gift-giving? Stunning stones, simply priced. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are simply priced and proudly grown from 100% renewable wind energy at the Lightbox Lab in Portland, Oregon. After a good deal but don't know where to start? Lightbox makes it easy. Fixed prices mean the days of negotiating the jewelry store with uncertainty are gone. Its risk-free shipping and easy returns make Lightbox the easiest way to shop for stunning quality lab-grown diamond jewelry. All of Lightbox's modern classics shine solo or can be layered for high-impact sparkle. And Lightbox also offers loose lab-grown diamonds for you to use in your own dream design. You can get 10% off your order with the code Spittin Chiclets at lightboxjewelry.com. Man, huge thanks to Michael Bublé for jumping on with us. It's been a while since we have a legit musician on. Always fun to get people from outside the hockey world and chat with them.
Who was the last one? Jay Weinberg?
Might have been, yeah. And then we had
the drummer.
Brett Kissel too, a few years back, country artist up in Canada.
Tom Green's not a musician, but he played an instrument on the pod. He was great.
That's right.
Tickling the ivories a little bit. The Capitals could be on the move. The team is eyeing a new arena in Alexandria, Virginia. The city wants to keep him. You know, these things always happen. The owners don't want to pay. The city gets involved. The city said they're going to put up $500 million towards an $800 million renovation. They obviously want to keep the Caps and the Wizards there. They'll stand to lose about $25 million in taxes should the new arena go out of state. The Virginia lawmakers, they approved the plan, but they still have to get the General Assembly in the Alexandria City Council to give the okay. Whit, could you think off the top of your head one place that needs a new arena right now? What team could use one more than anyone? And don't say Arizona.
Arizona. Did you say other than Arizona?
Yeah, I said don't say Arizona, okay. And then you're like Arizona.
Right.
I think I would probably the three that would hop to mind would be Ottawa, Winnipeg, and the Caps. I never loved that building. I feel bad, right, for fans who maybe live nearby, but even when I played, and then from what I've heard from people, that Chinatown area in DC isn't great, and it's kind of gone really downhill these past few years. And I guess if a lot of people, especially people with money, are living in Alexandria, it kind of makes sense. But you could tell the panic of the city, because after that was announced about the 9 a.m. press conference the next day, I think it was within the hour, the city had come back with a report that they'd be willing to give $500 million to do the renovations to that barn and keep them in DC. But I lean towards it would be a good thing, because I think the anytime you get a new arena for a team in the league, it's just a good thing. You know, visiting teams, you come in there, maybe a visiting team's fan base would want to go and check out this new rink, and you just get the excitement of more money being brought in through a new arena and new technology and all that stuff. So you feel bad for some people. There's a lot of workers there that would obviously be out of work. At the same time, new jobs are created in Alexandria. I know it's not that far away, but it seems like, I guess it is a different state, considering DC isn't even a state. Stay hot, Whit. But I would like to see a new barn. I think that's exciting. And anytime one comes around, you want to get and check it out. I still haven't seen the Red Wings' new building, so I'd lean toward that happening.
Little Caesar, the reason I like it as far as a new barn's concerned, it's not a generic one. It's not cookie cutter. It has character. The seats are beautiful. The concourse is like, it's next level. Now, I'd have to disagree with you on the Winnipeg. I feel like for the size of the city, it's the perfect size. And I actually like how the fans are on top of you there. I get that it's only 15,000 people, maybe just shy of that. I actually think the most needed new barn in the league is the Calgary Flames. Like the Saddle Dome is old. It's brutal.
But I actually love playing there too.
Yes, I do like the character of it and the way where it's situated. But I think that if they did build a new one, it wouldn't be that far away. I just think it's about time that Calgary gets a new barn. So that's my pick, RA, if you cared.
Of course I do. I always care about your opinion, Paul. Yeah, they've been there since 97, so we'll see what happens. I mean, that's basically the same age as the Garden. What the Garden opened, I think 95, 96?
Well, it's good you bring up the Garden because I think it was 94 or 95. Right, pretty quickly after the Garden opened, I was like, this place kind of stinks. They've done an unreal job doing a lot of stuff, renovations to the Garden. So that makes you think that if they did that in DC and spent all that money, they could get that place pretty sweet. But I don't know. The thought of a new building just excites me. But the Garden was looking pretty brutal for how like new it was, and they've made a really good step in making it a lot more fun to go watch a game, and the colors they've painted all the what am I looking for? What word am I?
Black and gold.
Yeah, but what's the area where you get food and drinks?
Concourse.
Concourse. Holy shit, Whit. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
yeah, they were finally able to
over there.
Blow out that back wall that's facing Causeway Street.
Is it not true that there's a lease that's ending on MSG and they said that they're not going to renew it and they're going to tear it down? And I just can't believe that's true.
They just redid that place.
I understand, but if you Google it, they're saying I think it's about 10 to 15 years that the lease is expiring and that they're not renewing the lease.
There was talks of them moving to like Hudson Yards area.
So I just couldn't believe. I can't believe that's like the most known arena in probably the world. Is that a fair assessment?
I think the statement is like most famous arena in the world.
Yeah, you just can't. It's almost like an eighth world wonder. You can't tear that thing down. Why are you laughing?
Just the world wonder just caught me a little by surprise. I thought it was funny.
Well, all right.
Well, you had a doozy earlier with final nail in the straw, you said. I don't know if you realize that's what you said.
I don't know what I'm saying right now. My basement's flooding again. Now I'm
we're just all out of whack today,
I have to get home so my wife can go get a generator. Like I'm in a world of like disaster in my brain right now. So I apologize to everyone listening.
When they did close the old Boston Garden down, the last event they had was an exhibition game versus Montreal. A very special moment. Ray Bork brought out Normand Levier. If the name is unfamiliar to you, he was a Boston Bruin. 1982 during a game in Vancouver, he had suffered a brain aneurysm. Had to go rush to the hospital, and his career was over. It was just a sad thing. And when they closed the Garden, Ray brought him out on his skates. Really tender moment. So, that's the 100th anniversary. The Bruins have been honoring all their teams from the past, and the Lunch Pail AC. That was the name of the squad from the late 70s, early 80s. That's the iteration of the Bruins I fell in love with. Terry O'Reilly, Rick Middleton, Wayne Cashman, Stan Jonathan. Just a great team. Went to like 3 cups in a row, I believe. So they were honoring them the other night, and lo and behold, who comes out? Normand Levier in the wheelchair. The place was going nuts, and he stood up. Like you could see him. Like I don't know if he told the guys he was going to do it. He stood up and dropped the first puck, man. Definitely some waterworks with. Did you catch that live, or did you end up seeing it on the replay? Just a special night.
It was amazing. It was, and I actually did some Googling. I talked to my dad, a huge Bruins fan, and kind of asked him what he remembers. And he was saying his rookie year, I think at 18 years old, he looked awesome, like 33 points. And then the next year, 9 points in 9 games. And then tragedy struck in Vancouver. And it kind of like, it shows like the frailty of like an athlete, and like thank God, I mean that he didn't pass away and has been able to go on and live as good of a life as he's been able to. Just a horrible story though, and to think about what type of player he would have been. Actually, Jean Rattel said he would have been better than Yvon Cormier. Am I saying that? How do I say his name, RA?
Yeah, I like that. I always butcher him too. I
apologize, but I mean. Just horrible story to like read about, and you feel so bad for him. Just a promising career cut short by such a tragic incident, and to have him out on the ice and the Middleton and other guys picking him up and him dropping the puck, that was tough to not get a tear in your eye because you just feel so much for the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Jean Rattel, what a friggin' player he was, man. The Bruins got him, I think he was like 34. The numbers he put up at that age is absolutely incredible. He was like the Bergeron before Bergeron came around. So this is a wild story too. How about Mikko Rantanen, he's doing a post-game scrum with the media, and he basically calls out his teammate's father, Turi Lekkonen's dad. He covers the hockey over in Finland. He basically was saying, he didn't work out. He basically wasn't ready for the season, and he fucking gave it to him. I couldn't tell if it was a joke, Biz. Like, parents don't usually like say that type of shit, but we saw it last year with Big Walt. He
basically said that the reason that he thinks that he's had a rough season, and mind you, a rough season for Mikko Rantanen is not a rough season, and he actually had a great start. I think the first 3 games of the year, he had 4 points in each of those games, which was some sort of record that was set. So he made comments that there were a lot of distractions off the ice that would have taken him away from training time, where the reason that Rantanen bit back is he was acknowledging that he was through this dry spell this year, but if there's one thing that he's not, is lazy in the gym. Like, he is a fucking horse in the gym. So he took that he took those comments and he was offended by them, and rightfully so, for based on the time and energy he does put into his game off the ice. So apparently there's no rift between him and his teammate. It's more so he just wanted to bark back at the old man who does media overseas. I said something dumb on TNT, shocker. And we'd filmed something in the afternoon for 4 hours. So mind you, after the 8-hour broadcast, my brain was working as well as it has been today with that fucking drill bet next door in my conscience. But I was like, oh, maybe he just interpreted it wrong. Well, we fucking speak the same fucking language. So walk off. But no, I love that. Getting spicy, and if anything, a little bit of motivation for him to get going, and he's been great since. So since we're on the Colorado topic, Whit, did you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I just thought it was bizarre. I mean, the only time I can remember anyone saying anything is when my dad was like, don't pass it to Bissonnette. He's fucking horrible. But I felt bad, and I told him not to say that anymore.
My old man was probably like, fucking, I gave him the same advice.
But I didn't really get it. Rantanen, 55 goals last year, 105 points, 92 points the year before that. He's on pace for 90 points this year. It was just kind of confusing to me to like publicly call out one guy. And you brought up Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk. He went after the Florida Panthers as a team for not playing hard and playing ridiculous hockey when they went on that brutal run last year, included with Maurice just ripping into him in Toronto. So not like a great analogy, not even coming at you, RA, just didn't really like fit the same narrative that in terms of what Lekkonen's dad said. So just a weird thing. I'm sure Arturi was like, Dad, maybe just leave my teammates' names out of your mouth. Kind of an odd thing, but I think Rantanen's an unbelievable player, and they got him at 9.25. I mean, he's only got one more year left on that, so he's gonna get a monster contract this summer probably.
I said, keep my teammate's name out your mouth.
Biz, what were you gonna say about the Avs?
So on 32 Thoughts, I was just reading on Twitter. They apparently they mentioned, ever since they lost Kadri, there's been that missing piece of the second line center. And as much as I like Johansson, I don't think he's the answer if Colorado wants to compete in the West as far as hoisting another Stanley Cup. But there's potentially mixing things up for Elias Lindholm out of Calgary. That would be a lethal 1-2 punch if they were able to somehow land him. I don't know what you send back the other way. I guess easy answer, and I've said this before, is maybe Bo Byram and package with something else. And that's obviously probably if Sam Girard's able to come back and get back to the player that he was. I just think that they have enough depth on the back end. And then of course you have Makar, who's an incredible puck moving and skating defenseman. Girard's the same, where I think that would you not, if you could do it right now in package where you have to part ways with Bo Byram to try to get Lindholm and then be able to basically a sign and trade, lock him in? I think that there's no way you can compete in the West if you don't have strength through the middle. And that's one thing that they're lacking right now outside of the first line.
I agree with that. You'd have to have him signed. It'd be tough to give up Byron being that young, and Girard coming back is so important, as you said. But I think my thing right now with Colorado is talking about McKinnon, who He's got the longest point streak of the season at 15 games. Buzzing. He's got 28 points, and these goals and assists are highlight reel plays. His speed and like fire right now with his game is something else. Just an absolute superstar in this league. I've probably said the word superstar 49 times this episode. Okay. I'm an absolute joke of a podcast host today. I apologize once again. But watching McKinnon is so fun, and that team is a blast. They just come at you in waves, and I think that if they could get Lindholm, wow.
Look out.
Makar missed the game this weekend, and he had missed 2 earlier for an upper body injury, so hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, a little maintenance.
Or maybe lower body. I don't know, actually.
Quick trade. Colorado sent Thomas Tatar, a.k.a. Tuna, to Seattle for a 5th rounder in 24. He's a pending UFA, making $1.5 million this year. Kind of a odd move.
Guys, Seattle's been way too vanilla for me this year. I haven't
They're
really
bad.
I haven't been paying attention at all. I better brief up on my knowledge, though, because we got them on the Winter Classic broadcast.
Cannot
Whit's
wait.
not attending because he bailed on us. Over to you, RA.
Okay, back to me. Something was grinding my gears this weekend, of course. Grind My Gears, brought to you by BigDealBrewing.com/finder. Find out where it's close to you. This is like another silly one, nothing world change, but realize it drives me crazy when the DJ's got the whole place going and they turn down the volume on like the chorus and have everyone else fucking sing. It's like...
I love that, RA. You suck.
Once in a blue moon, but like over and over, it's like I'd rather hear, fucking Axl Rose or Aretha Franklin or whoever it is singing instead of like 50 fucking drunk kids in a bar. You know what I mean, dude? It's like, that's why we want to hear the original thing. I don't think you fucking turn it down and fucking, they do it with Journey all the time. Don't Stop Believing. That seems to be like the wicked popular song at parties and bars all the time. Kind of crazy
RA,
too.
Did you
You
read
grind
that?
my gears, RA.
Yeah. Did you read that in NYC? There's a bar that lifted their age limit for reasons of just kind of like the younger generation's getting too annoying, so they raise the level of like to attend the bar 25 to get in.
Oh, there's a bunch of bars in New York that do that.
Yeah,
tons. It's
okay.
awesome.
So that's happened before. All right.
Yeah,
well,
they
there
have
you go.
23 plus bars everywhere now. They're getting the 25 plus. It's actually awesome.
Yeah, because these millennials are what are they called? Gen Zs.
Zoomers, yeah, dude, they're not.
Zoomers.
They don't like fucking sex either. These kids don't date. They're not out chasing ass like every other generation before them.
I think that the porn consumption has skyrocketed, and that's probably a problem with
these things, man. That's all how to communicate with. So anyway, sorry to my boy DJ Mac.
I quit drinking. I'm also quitting porn, by the way. No more belly button soup, boys.
Yeah,
no more weed either. I'm going clean. I'm basically
right.
I might be like a pastor in no time here by playoffs.
Yeah, go like a Buddha.
The factory installed stuff.
I'll be a monk. I'll be the only podcast host in history who just doesn't talk. I'll just sit here in silence. I bet you half of our listeners would love that.
Hey guys, hey Biz, how was your weekend? It was good. What'd you do? Nothing.
No, I would
and on to Grinelli at the box.
So yeah, sorry to my boy DJ Mac. He was spinning the other night. So yeah, stupid little thing, but that was grinding my gears. Once again, BigDealBrewing.com/finder. G, Chiclets U. When's it coming out? Let the people remind them.
Wednesday, 6 p.m. Chiclets YouTube channel. Boston College, 4th overall. Will Smith. Tune in. It would mean a lot to me.
All right, buddy. Great job with that so far. Happy 80th birthday to the one and only Keith Richards, Rolling Stone. Love that, man. Any final notes, Whit, Biz, before we wrap this up?
No, guys, we have a very special episode next week for you. We won't fill you in yet on what it's going to be, but I think you'll really enjoy it. A little Christmas episode. And as always, we thank you so much for listening. We apologize, I apologize for being a joke today, but I hope you enjoyed the interviews. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back to you next week with a special Christmas episode.